My name is Lu Fan, and let me tell you how my day started. Standing on the edge of a fishing boat, while my ex-girlfriend pointed a knife at me and told me to jump into shark-infested water. Oh, but it gets better. Her auntie was standing behind her, hugging a tiny poodle dog, crying like, "Little Fan, you're so kind-hearted. This dog is like my son. You wouldn't throw him overboard, right? Lady, you're literally choosing a poodle over me right now." And her uncle? "Yeah, buddy, saving a life is worth more than building 7 temples. Just jump down and lead those sharks away for us, yeah? Oh sure. Let me just casually become shark food so your family can keep cuddling a dog named Princess or whatever." But the real masterpiece? My best bro since childhood, Chunze. This guy picked up a steel fork, looked me dead in the eyes, and said, "Bro, thanks for risking your life to find this boat and save all of us." Then he stabbed me through the chest. "Don't worry, bro. I'll burn you a gold mountain in the afterlife. And I'll take real good care of your girlfriend for you. I bet you will, buddy. I bet you will." I fell backward into the freezing ocean. Sharks ripped me apart. My heart finally stopped hurting, mostly because it stopped existing. Then everything went quiet. And then, thump thump, I opened my eyes. I was sitting on a wooden raft. My old apartment building was half underwater next to me. The sky had just cleared up after the rain. I'm alive. I'm back. I literally rewound time. Let me catch you up. About a month ago, the whole world started drowning. Nonstop rain everywhere. At first the water rose slow, annoying but survivable. Then 5 days ago the ocean went absolutely psycho and swallowed 15 floors of buildings in just a few days. My crappy 16-floor apartment was about to go under, so I ripped apart my furniture, built a garbage raft, and paddled out. Last time around, I found a small fishing boat, risked my neck saving Chunze and Chu Xian's family, and got stabbed as a thank you present. This time, my phone buzzed. Message from Chu Xian. "Fan? The water's rising so fast. Come get me. I'm so scared." Scared? Last time I nearly died 3 times rushing to reach her, only to find out the water was at floor 20 and she lives on floor 35. She was probably painting her nails while texting me that. I typed back, "Don't worry, babe. Stay put. Block your door. I'm coming for you." Then I turned off satellite internet, shoved the phone in a waterproof bag, and stuffed it in my backpack. Coming for you? Huh. Whoever wants to save you can have you. I'm done being the nice guy. I checked my supplies, 5 bottles of water, 10 energy bars, and some basic survival gear. If I can find that fishing boat again, I might actually reach higher ground and, not die this time. I turned around and saw my homemade paddles. And a fishing rod. Wait, I don't fish. I've never fished in my life. Where did this thing come from? I grabbed it, and a gentle voice popped into my brain. God-level fishing rod has bound a host. Level 1. Can fish up low-grade survival supplies, blueprints, random junk, and hidden items. Fish up anything from the ocean. Fish up anything. My brain nearly exploded. In a world where everything is underwater, a rod that can fish up anything means I basically won the apocalypse lottery. I was so hyped I immediately cast my line. 1 hour later. Nothing. Are you kidding me? Not even a nibble? Do I need bait? Should I be chumming the water? I've literally never held a fishing rod before today. Just as I was about to give up, the float started glowing white, and something yanked the rod so hard I almost flew off the raft. I grabbed on, cranking the reel like a maniac, fighting this thing left and right. Splash. A red object flew out of the water and landed in front of me with a little status screen. Fishing successful. Obtained. Spicy snack stick ×1. Rarity. Common. Description. A humble spicy stick. Tastes like childhood. Delicious and cheap. I stared at it. I just fought a sea monster for 20 minutes. And caught a bag of gas station snacks. But honestly, fishing a bag of spicy sticks out of the middle of the ocean is pretty impressive. If I can catch junk food today, tomorrow I might catch something insane. Truly proving the ancient fisherman wisdom. A fisherman can catch everything except fish. The system then showed me my full stats. Stamina, 90 out of 100. Each fishing attempt costs 10 stamina. So I can fish about 10 times per day, but I need to save 1 attempt's worth of energy for rest. Because if I pass out on a raft in shark water, that's game over. At this rate, upgrading would take at least 12 days of 9+ hours of fishing per day. Problem is, I don't have 12 days. In 7 days, Every sea creature is going to mutate into aggressive, semi-intelligent monsters. If I haven't found that fishing boat by then, me and my magic rod are both becoming fish food. No time to waste. I cast my line again. An hour and a half later, the float started shimmering with a faint golden glow. So the float was glowing gold, and my yawn died in my throat faster than my trust in women. Is this a golden legendary? I braced my feet against the raft edge and pulled with everything I had. The reel was spinning so fast, it was literally shooting sparks like a 4th of July sparkler. The fishing line was disappearing into the water at terrifying speed. I knew, if I relaxed even a little bit, whatever was down there would yank me straight into the ocean. And I've already been shark food once this lifetime. Thank you very much. Screw it, we go all in. I bit down so hard I'm pretty sure I cracked a tooth, then threw myself backward, using my entire body weight to pin the rod against the raft. I tried turning the reel, but the handle was locked tight by some insane force. I cranked until the skin peeled off my fingers. Didn't budge 1 millimeter. The raft was rocking like crazy, water splashing over the edges. I was losing feeling in my arms, muscles shaking, body giving out. At this rate, forget catching nothing. This thing was about to steal my fishing rod. Wait, steal? Lightbulb moment. If I can't outpull this thing, why not let IT pull me? Just tire it out like a rodeo bull. I jammed the rod into a gap in the raft planks, grabbed the tip, and used it like a steering wheel. The dock is that direction. Might as well get a free ride. Gambling time, baby. I turned this fishing rod into a boat engine and let whatever monster was on the line drag me straight toward the dock, which is exactly where I remembered finding that fishing boat last time. And it worked. The raft took off like a surfboard behind a speedboat. Water spraying everywhere, wind in my face, riding the apocalypse like a maniac on a pool noodle. Survivors hiding on rooftops started poking their heads out. What is that thing in the water? Is that a motorboat? Our rescuers here. Some woman was hugging her kid, eyes full of hope. Are you blind? That's a wooden plank with a guy on it. How is a plank going that fast? Did he strap a motor to it? No. Look, there's a fishing rod. Something in the water is towing him. Sorry, folks. Can't chat? I'm a little busy not dying right now. All my focus went into two things: holding on so the raft didn't flip and shatter at high speed, and wrestling the rod left and right to steer toward the dock. After about 15 minutes of the most extreme water skiing of my life, I could see the dock area landmarks. Almost there. Now, time to drain this thing's stamina. I adjusted the rod and started doing laps around the wide water near the dock. Circle after circle after circle. After dozens of laps, the thing underwater was clearly getting tired. I timed it perfectly, reeling in while tightening the circles smaller and smaller until finally, the raft stopped. The line went taut. The water exploded with golden light, and a dark purple-black ring clinked onto my raft. Fishing successful. Obtained. Spatial ring ×1. Type. Hidden item. Rarity. Supernatural grade. A ring containing compressed infinite space. Rumored to be a holy relic left behind by some god. The space grows as my spirit stat increases. Right now it's 5 cubic meters, enough to store my fishing rod and that bag of spicy sticks from earlier. Only works with system items though, can't stuff my backpack in there. I collapsed on the raft, gasping, holding up my bloody shredded hand with this ring between my fingers. I laughed until I cried. I can finally, actually survive this. Then I passed out cold, drifting alone on the endless ocean. Meanwhile, at a fancy apartment complex on the 35th floor, I can only imagine what was happening at Chu Xian's place. She was probably smashing her phone because I hadn't replied, calling me a useless waste for not answering fast enough. And my dear, best bro, Chunze was probably strutting out of the master bedroom, wrapping his arm around her waist, telling her, relax, he loves you so much he'd die to get here. Oh, and his grand plan? Wait for me to arrive with a boat, kick me off it, then go find his uncle's yacht. His uncle's YCHD, with the key conveniently in his pocket this whole time. The aunt and uncle were already daydreaming about sunbathing on the deck. Chu Xian kissed him right there in the living room. The aunt and uncle awkwardly pretended to play with their poodle. What a beautiful family. Truly. I hope they all enjoy waiting for me forever. Back on the raft, I woke up after about an hour. Everything hurt. I sat up, pulled out gauze and alcohol wipes, and started wrapping my destroyed hands. SSSSS. OW. I wrapped extra thick. At least it'd work as anti-friction gloves for future fishing sessions. The trip was rough, but the payoff was huge. Made it to the dock area and got a spatial ring. Cost me 30 stamina points though, which stung. That's 2 whole fishing attempts gone. I had 60 stamina left. Save 10 for emergency reserve. That's 5 more casts today. Can't have the fish and the bare paw, I guess. I stood up and scanned the horizon. Nothing but wind, floating shipping containers, and trash. No fishing boat in sight. Last time I paddled for a whole day before finding it here. Maybe I arrived too early and the boat hasn't spawned yet. This isn't a video game. Lufan, boats don't spawn. Whatever. Boat or no boat, I need to fish up supplies now. It's past 2 p.m. 4 or 5 hours until dark. Nighttime ocean gets freezing cold. All I've got is 1 emergency thermal blanket and 4 hand warmers. Enough to survive the night. Barely, but definitely not enough to fish or do anything useful. Gotta use these last daylight hours wisely. Ideally, I catch some cold weather gear, a warm jacket, a waterproof sleeping bag, anything to keep me from turning into a Lufan popsicle. For hours later, the sun was bleeding red across the water, and I had a half-dry shirt wrapped around my head like a budget pirate because the sea wind was absolutely destroying my face. Afternoon report card. 3 fishing attempts completed. First 2 pulls. White tier basic garbage. A pack of Dragon brand cigarettes, and a sharp firewood machete. Look, neither of these helps me not freeze to death tonight. But cigarettes are basically apocalypse currency, and a machete means I can stab things that try to eat me. So, C-, acceptable. Third pull. A green glow on the float. Something actually good. I started reeling in and it snapped off. Gone. Poof. My skill level was too low and the thing escaped. I literally watched my upgrade disappear into the ocean like my hopes and dreams. No time to cry about it. I launched cast number 4. Getting dark. I stared at that float like my life depended on it, because it literally did. Then the rod jerked. The float was glowing green again. Another green? I am not losing this one. This time I used my brain. Instead of yanking like an idiot, I loosened the drag on the reel first, then started wobbling the rod side to side, messing up whatever was down their swimming rhythm. Basically, I gave it vertigo. 10 minutes of tug-of-war later, the line went slack. Now, I cranked the reel like a madman. Splash! A square brown shape exploded out of the water and slammed onto my raft. Fishing successful. Obtained. Basic workbench ×1. Type. Hidden item. Rarity. Fine grade. I picked up this wooden box and examined it. Heavy, rough texture, like an oversized toolbox. 9 faintly glowing grid slots on top, little carved tool symbols around the edges, and a dim gemstone core on the front. A hologram screen popped up above it. Status. Not bound to vessel. After binding. Grants, stability core, and modification core. Stability core. Vessel will never sink. Modification core. Unlock vessel upgrade permissions. Warning. Cannot unbind after binding. I looked down at my pathetic raft, the one held together by prayers and furniture scraps, and my expression got serious real fast. Never sink, plus, upgradable, equals the most valuable thing in an ocean apocalypse. But it's a one-time deal. Once I bind it, that's it. Forever. Do I wait for a real boat? Or bind it to this floating trash heap? It was getting dark fast. That fishing boat might not even exist yet. This raft is the only thing between me and the bottom of the ocean. Screw it. All in. I knelt in the center of the raft, pressed the workbench onto the thickest plank joint, and yelled, "Bind." Golden light rippled across the entire raft. I could feel the change, every plank, every rope knot, locking together like they were welded by divine hands. Still wobbly, but underneath the wobble was this solid, unbreakable foundation. My janky furniture raft was now officially an unsinkable vessel. It felt more secure than that fishing boat ever did in my previous life. Oh wait, the disassembly function. Almost forgot. The workbench can break stuff down once per day. I dug through my supply bag looking for a test subject. Water and energy bars? Absolutely not. Those keep me alive. The 4 cheap hand warmers I grabbed from the convenience store downstairs. These things barely work, slow to heat up, only reach about 40 degrees, and if they get even slightly wet, the powder clumps up and they're dead. I shoved all 4 into the workbench grid slots. Disassemble. Light bubble rose up. The plastic wrappers and fabric casings vaporized instantly. Few seconds later, the light faded, and sitting in the grid was a palm-sized block of dense black material. Obtained. Low-purity iron carbon compound ×1. Description. Compressed heating material with impurities removed. Releases 65 degrees Celsius heat on contact with air. Waterproof. Lasts about 12 hours. 4 garbage hand warmers turned into 1 super hand warmer that works underwater and burns for half a day. I basically just turned a Toyota Corolla into a Ferrari. Into the spatial ring you go, little buddy. You're keeping me alive tonight. By now the sky was completely dark. I figured one more cast before bed. A raindrop hit my hand. I looked up. When did the sky turn into a ceiling of black clouds? My face went white. This is wrong. Last life, after the rain stopped, we had 5 clear days. It hasn't even been 1 day. Why is another storm coming? This raft has no roof, no walls, no nothing. If a full storm hits, I'll be soaking wet in freezing wind. I could literally freeze to death tonight. Boom. Thunder exploded directly above me like God cracking his knuckles, and the sky opened up. Not just rain. Sideways hurricane rain, with giant waves crashing over the raft like the ocean was personally trying to slap me off. I dove flat, grabbed the ropes tied to the raft, and held on for dear life. Thank God I bound the workbench. The raft took hit after hit and didn't break apart. But just because the raft survived doesn't mean I did. Whoosh! A side wave smashed into the raft and flipped it sideways. I went airborne, weightless for 1 terrifying second, then slam, straight into the freezing ocean. Salt water flooding my nose, my mouth, ice cold crushing my whole body. I thrashed upward, barely broke the surface. Boom! Another wave hammered me right back under. And somewhere in that chaos, the current ripped my supply backpack off my shoulders and dragged it into the deep. All my water, all my food, gone. My heart dropped through my stomach, but I couldn't think about that now. If I didn't get air in the next few seconds, the backpack wouldn't matter because I'd be dead. Lungs screaming, I kicked upward like a maniac, and just before the next wave hit, my fingers caught the edge of the raft. I dragged myself up with the last atom of energy in my body and bear-hugged the workbench while wave after wave pounded me. Eventually the wind died down. The storm faded to a light drizzle. I lay there on the raft like a wet towel someone threw on the floor. This raft is too small. If I could upgrade it into a boat, at least have a roof. But for that, I'd need materials. Probably have to take apart. A whole ship. Where am I going to find a ship? In the middle of the ocean. I was losing body heat so fast that my brain went full Little Match Girl, just lying there fantasizing about impossible things while slowly shutting down. Right as my consciousness started fading to black, a blinding searchlight beam cut through the rain. Then the low rumble of an engine. I flinched awake, shielded my eyes with a numb hand, and squinted into the glare. That battered little fishing boat from my memories was pushing through the curtain of rain, heading straight for me. The fishing boat pulled up next to my raft, and a stocky middle-aged dude in a raincoat hopped down onto my wood plank like it was nothing. Hey kid, can you still move? I was shaking so hard I couldn't even open my mouth. My teeth were basically playing a drum solo. Yep, you're frozen solid. Hang tight, kid. I'm getting you up there. He threw me on his back like a sack of frozen potatoes and started climbing onto the boat. Then he yelled to someone. Hey, bring that little raft up too. We can chop it up for firewood. Good luck with that, buddy. That raft is enchanted now. You're gonna need more than an axe. He carried me into a warm, dry room, and standing inside was this girl, about 20, bronze skin, thick eyebrows, big eyes, kind of had that classic movie star look going on. Except she looked at me like I was a stray cat someone dragged in. Dad, it's dangerous and raining outside. Why'd you have to rescue him? Her dad just smiled and set me down gently. Little Min, the Zhang family doesn't leave people to die. The world's gone crazy, but that doesn't mean we have to. Helping a fellow countryman is basic human decency. This man's name was Zhang Weigua. Actual good person. Possibly the last one on Earth. He helped me peel off my soaking jacket while his daughter, Zhang Xiaoman, grudgingly shoved a small heater in front of me. Hey, stinky boy, my dad saved your life out of kindness. I'm warning you. Try anything funny, and I will kick you into the ocean to feed the fish. I looked at her. Pretty? Absolutely. But those arms and that stance. This girl definitely knew martial arts. One wrong move, and she'd rearrange my skeleton. I took a weak breath and mumbled, "Feed the fish?" Sure, why not? Wouldn't be the first time. She got full-body goosebumps. Something about the way I said it, like I was speaking from experience, completely spooked her. She practically speed-walked out the door with her dad. The second that iron door shut, I relaxed and pulled my iron carbon heating block out of the spatial ring. Shoved it against my chest under my wet shirt. Instant warmth flooding through my body. Combined with the little heater behind me, my frozen limbs started coming back to life. Beautiful. Survived another near-death experience. Only my third one today. Meanwhile, out on the deck under the rain cover, a 200-pound bleach blonde guy named Zhuang Niu was going absolutely AP on my raft with a fire axe. What the? Is this thing made of iron? Why can't I chop it? He gave up and sat down in protest. His skinny blonde buddy Qinyang kicked him. You eat 200 pounds worth of meat every day and can't even break a raft? It's not my fault. Try it yourself. It's hard as rock. Zhang Weiguo walked over, saw the shallow white scratch marks on the raft, and looked confused. Just let it dry out. We'll deal with it later. You boys go rest. Once we find that yacht you're looking for, I'll call you. After the father-daughter pair left, Qinyang twirled the axe and whispered with a cold little smile. Heh, once we find that yacht, those two are going overboard to feed the fish. Zhuang Niu jumped up, panicking. Bro, are we really killing people? I don't want to go to jail. Qinyang slapped him upside the head. Pig brain. The whole world is underwater. What jail? Who's gonna arrest us? The dolphins? Oh right. You're so smart, bro. Hey, that girl, Xiaoman. Can I keep her as my wife? Another kick. You absolute degenerate. She knows martial arts. She'll pop your eyeballs out before you can blink. No, we find the yacht, ambush them, take all the supplies, and leave. What about that half-dead loser they fished out of the water? Him? Qinyang spat into the ocean. One quick stab. Easy cleanup. Oh, so that's what happened last life. The fishing boat wasn't abandoned. This father and daughter got murdered by these two scumbags. And I just waltzed up afterward and thought I found a lucky empty boat. Good people really do die first in the apocalypse. 2 hours later, I managed to sit up. Head spinning, whole body aching. I checked my system panel. Status, poor. Medium-grade cold. Hypothermia after effects. Yeah, that tracks. In a world with no hospitals, a bad cold can literally kill you faster than the actual apocalypse. I needed water desperately. If the cold didn't get me, dehydration would. I dragged myself to the door connecting to the control room. Just as I raised my fist to knock, I heard voices inside. Dad, those two blonde guys give me a bad feeling. Do we really have to help them find their yacht? Relax, kiddo. Helping them find the yacht means we can borrow some fuel. Otherwise, we don't have enough to head west. West? The radio said there's a temporary base at West Huan Mountain. It's our only shot at survival. West Huan Mountain. My eyes narrowed. I remembered that name. In my previous life, it was the only official safe base within 500 miles. We would have made it there too, except that idiot Chunzhe insisted on wasting time searching for a yacht at sea, and we missed the window. Then came the freak weather and the mutant sharks, and I became the sacrificial lamb for their escape. Dad, the radio might not even be accurate. We can't trust everyone. I know what I'm doing. Oh, go bring that young man some water and crackers. Xiaoman must have sensed someone at the door, because she reached for the handle. Right then, knock knock, I tapped first. She opened the door and looked surprised. She'd expected to catch me eavesdropping, but I was just standing there openly like a normal person. What? What do you want? Water. My voice was sandpaper. If you don't mind. Zhang Weiguo came over, touched my forehead, and winced. Geez, you're burning up. He turned around. Min, go boil some hot water. But Dad, now. After she left, he sat me in a chair and rummaged through a drawer. Pulled out a medicine box with only 3 capsules left. Cold medicine. Let me explain something about apocalypse economics. 1 cold pill is worth enough to make 2 grown men fight to the death. You could trade a single capsule for, well, things I won't describe in detail. This stuff's precious. I don't have much left. Take one and tough it out. He popped one out and put it in my palm. I stared at that little capsule. This stranger saved me from the ocean, gave me warmth, a fire, hot water, and now medicine from his personal stash. A genuinely good man. And in the apocalypse, genuinely good men usually have the shortest life expectancy. Thanks, Uncle Zhang. I swallowed the pill, downed the hot water Xiaoman brought, and felt warmth spread through my whole body like someone turned on the central heating. We talked for a bit. Turns out, those two blonde goons were also survivors he'd rescued. They claimed they needed to find a yacht nearby, so everyone could share the fuel. I connected the dots instantly. Last life, I found this fishing boat completely empty and assumed the owners had abandoned it. But no, Zhang Weiguo and his daughter were murdered by those two parasites they'd saved out of pure kindness. Good deeds truly go unpunished in this world. I mean, I'll admit I was also thinking about dismantling their boat for upgrade materials like 5 minutes ago, but that's different. I was hypothermic. Hypothermia makes you think crazy things. I sighed and was just about to warn Zhang Weiguo when, Uncle Zhang, stop the boat. We see the yacht. Zhang Weiguo poked his head out the window and spotted it. A gray-white two-story yacht bobbing next to what used to be a dock monument. Only the very tip of the monument was still above water. He turned to me all excited. Little Lou, what were you about to say? I looked at his honest face. This man had the poker skills of a golden retriever. If I told him those two blonde idiots were planning to murder him, he'd probably confront them immediately with all the subtlety of a brick through a window. Nothing, Uncle Zhang. Just be careful out there. He patted my shoulder, threw on his crusty yellow raincoat, and went outside to investigate the yacht with Qin Yang. Xiaoman was told to watch me and steer the boat. Lucky me. A babysitter who could snap me in half. They checked out the yacht. Deck had some water on it, but otherwise, perfect condition. And the fuel tank was full. Zhang Weiguo was practically glowing. Enough fuel to reach West Huan Mountain for sure. Inside the yacht cabin, Uncle Zhang was admiring the leather seats like a kid at a car show. These are beautiful. Must have cost tens of thousands. Qin Yang put on this sad orphan voice. Yeah, my dad bought this back when he was doing business. Then relatives scammed him and it got taken away. He smacked his lips. But hey, they're probably all drowned now. Guess it's mine again. The mood got real weird real fast. Zhang Weiguo quickly changed the subject. So, about that fuel we agreed on. Can we still borrow some? Of course, Uncle Zhang. Anything for you. Big, toothy grin. Dead shark eyes. They went back to the fishing boat to grab tools. Zhang Weiguo bent down to untangle the fuel siphon hose. Qin Yang circled behind him, picked up a wooden club. Thwack! Right on the back of the skull. Uncle Zhang collapsed face first into a puddle on the deck. Body twitched twice and went still. Fatty, get to work. Qin Yang tossed the club aside. Zhuang Niu scurried out of his hiding spot with rope and started tying up the half-conscious Zhang Weiguo like the world's worst Boy Scout. Then Xiaoman walked out of the control room holding half a biscuit. Dad, need any he? The biscuit hit the floor. Her father was tied up and bleeding on the deck. She didn't even hesitate, grabbed the fire axe by the door and charged. You animals. I'll kill you. Qin Yang yanked Zhang Weiguo's head up by the hair and pressed his folding knife against the old man's neck artery. Blood immediately started trickling down. One more step and I open him up like a faucet. Xiaoman froze mid-swing. Axe in the air, chest heaving, eyes turning red. Are you even human? Without my dad, you'd both be dead in the ocean. Did I ask him to save me? Stop with the guilt trip. Drop the axe. Now, she threw it down. Zhuang Niu rushed over and tied her up too. Qin Yang stood over the father-daughter pair and started looking at Xiaoman. The way he looked at her made my skin crawl even from inside the room. Was gonna just kill you both, but that face and that body. Waste of good material. We'll break her legs and keep her on the yacht. She'll last us a long time. Zhuang Niu was rubbing his hands together like a cartoon villain. Great idea, boss. You ungrateful monsters. Zhang Weiguo was thrashing against his ropes, veins popping. You're not afraid of karma? Qin Yang squatted down and tapped his knife against Zhang Weiguo's cheek. Karma? Only living people get to talk about karma. Give me the password to the supply safe. Maybe I'll let your daughter keep breathing. Zhang Weiguo closed his eyes and said nothing. He knew what would happen to his daughter either way. Playing tough? Fine. Qin Yang stood up. Fatty, go drag that sick loser out here. Let's do a little demonstration. Zhuang Niu went running toward my room and didn't come back. Where's that fat idiot? Slacking off in there. Boom. The door exploded open. Zhuang Niu's body came flying out like a bowling ball, tumbled across the deck, and stopped right at Qin Yang's feet. There was a hole in his chest. A big one. Dark red blood bubbling out of it like a broken fountain. Very, very dead. I stepped over the doorframe, breathing hard, holding the firewood machete. You know, the one I fished up earlier? The one sitting in my spatial ring this whole time? Yeah, that one. Funny thing about a magic ring that lets you summon weapons instantly. A 200-pound thug charging at a sick loser in a small room doesn't really stand a chance when said loser can materialize a blade out of thin air. How? Qinyang looked at his buddy's corpse and went from bully to baby in about half a second. His face turned green. B-bro, I had no idea you were so tough. That was all a misunderstanding. Totally a misunderstanding. Let's be calm about this. I didn't hear a single word. People like this, every second you let them breathe is a second they're planning how to stab you next. I raised the machete and charged. Boom! A massive side wave slammed the boat. The whole ship rocked. My perfect killing strike missed Qinyang by an inch, and the blade got wedged deep into the railing. Stuck. Couldn't pull it out. Qinyang's eyes lit up like Christmas. He came at me screaming with his little knife. You're dead, kid, Xiaomin screamed. Lu Fan dodge. But I didn't dodge. Instead, I did something that made zero sense to everyone watching. I let go of the stuck machete, faced the charging maniac, and held out my empty hand, fingers slightly open. Are you crazy, Xiaomin? Are you mental? Qinyang, running faster. His knife was half a meter from my face when my hand flashed with light. The machete, the one stuck in the railing 10 feet away, teleported straight into my palm. Spatial ring recall, baby. Put item in ring, take item out of ring. Works anywhere within range. The ultimate magic trick. That's impossible. Qinyang tried to stop, but his belly was already meeting my blade. I pulled the machete out of him expressionlessly. Dark blood sprayed across the deck. He dropped to his knees holding his guts, literally, because some of them were on the outside now, and stared up at me like I was a monster. How did you make that knife appear? Buddy, you want to know my secrets? Should have been nicer when you had the chance. Only living people get to talk about karma, right? Well, congratulations. You just became unqualified for that conversation. I didn't waste time with a villain monologue. I jumped on Qinyang and swung the machete at his throat. Rule number 1 of the apocalypse, always double tap. But right before the blade connected, this psychopath pulled out a detonator wrapped in tape and slammed the button. A homemade fish bomb. That fat idiot Zhuang Niu had secretly stuck it next to the yacht's fuel tank during their inspection. OHSH. I chopped through Qinyang's throat as fast as humanly possible, and 1 second later the entire bottom of the fishing boat went kaboom. The control room launched into the sky like a space shuttle. Broken glass and metal shrapnel flew everywhere like the world's worst confetti party. I got blasted off my feet, rolled twice, 8th floor. Then the diesel fuel caught fire and half the deck turned into a barbecue. The ship started tilting. Water was pouring in from below. This boat had maybe minutes to live. I scrambled over to Qinyang's corpse, fished a keyring out of his pants, yacht keys, then stumbled to the zhongs and cut their ropes. Go? Get on the yacht. Xiaomin was in full shock mode, completely frozen, until I screamed in her face. She snapped out of it, grabbed her bloody, barely conscious dad, and they half fell, half jumped onto the yacht. Lu Fan, come on. The ship's sinking. The stern was already underwater. Flames and rain fighting for control of the sky above me. I looked at her. Then I looked at my little wooden raft. And I shook my head. What time is it? I yelled. She stared at me like I'd lost my mind. 11:55. Who cares what time it is? Move. 5 more minutes. 5 minutes until midnight. 5 minutes until the workbench disassembly resets. I pulled out the pack of Dragon brand cigarettes and threw them across the gap perfectly into her arms. Those should trade for decent supplies at the base. Consider us even for your dad's medicine. Head west. West Huan Mountain. Don't look back. I turned around and walked into the fire. Lu Fan, you lunatic. You'll die. Yeah, maybe. But I had a plan. A very, very stupid plan. I heard her stomp her foot. Actually stomp it like an anime character. Then the yacht engine roared and faded into the rainy darkness. Now it was just me, a sinking burning ship, and my tiny magic raft. I dragged the raft to the only part of the bow that wasn't on fire yet and white-knuckled the cables. Boom! Another explosion. A spinning chunk of flaming metal whizzed past my head close enough to give me a haircut, then embedded itself in the deck next to me. Smelled like burning hair. Probably was my hair. The ship was tilting past 45 degrees. The stern was basically gone. My heart was doing drum solos. My eyes were locked on the system clock. 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 58 seconds. 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds. Midnight. Daily disassembly count has been refreshed. I slammed my hand on the workbench. With my other hand, I gripped the sinking deck for dear life and screamed. From the bottom of my burning, feverish lungs, disassemble. The brightest golden light I'd ever seen erupted from the workbench and spread across the entire fishing boat in seconds. Every inch of this sinking, burning hunk of metal got wrapped in light. The ship, mid-sink, mid-explosion, mid-everything, just stopped. Frozen in place like someone hit pause on reality. Then it started dissolving. Rusty iron plates, burning wood, shattered glass. Everything broke apart into millions of tiny light particles and got sucked into the workbench core like the world's most aggressive vacuum cleaner. 15 minutes later, the light faded. The fishing boat was gone. All of it. Several dozen tons of steel and wood vanished. Chun Yang and Zhuang Niu's bodies sank to the bottom of the ocean without a raft to rest on. Good riddance. And there I was, sitting on my tiny raft in the middle of the empty ocean, staring at the pile of refined materials floating above the workbench. Anti-rot, wood planks times 20. Iron building plates times 10. Reinforced glass times 5. Copper coil cores times 2. A barrel of diesel fuel. And one damaged but reparable fishing boat engine. That's IT. A whole ship and I get 2 piles of stuff? Note: basic workbench has limited power. Can only perform refined extraction, not full disassembly. Oh, so it filtered out the garbage and kept the good stuff. Fine, I'll take it. Better than a mountain of rusty scrap. I shoved everything into the spatial ring. The engine was so bulky it nearly maxed out the space. 7 cubic meters was barely enough. Then the workbench started vibrating. Detected. Materials meet current vessel upgrade requirements. Upgrade available. Basic survival ship, level 1. Proceed with upgrade. I was shivering so hard my vision was blurring. Fever headache, turning my brain into soup. If I stayed on this open raft in the rain much longer, the cold would finish what the sharks, the explosion, and Chun Yang's knife all failed to do. Upgrade. Consuming all materials. Estimated time. 10 minutes. Clank, clank, clank. The workbench erupted with light again, but this time it wasn't just pretty sparkles. This was physical. Real material reconstruction. Iron plates and wood planks flew out of my spatial ring on their own and merged with the raft beneath me. The crappy furniture boards compressed and stretched, then got coated with a thick black waterproof layer on the bottom. The raft started growing. From a pathetic 2 or 3 square meters to a solid 10. The sides rose up, thick anti-rot planks standing vertically, wrapped in iron sheeting, forming half-meter-high railings. And then the best part. Right in the center, wood planks started stacking themselves automatically, building upward. A small cabin, maybe 2 meters square, assembled itself out of thin air. Reinforced glass windows snapped into the frames with perfect precision. 10 minutes later, the light faded. My garbage furniture raft was gone. In its place was an actual boat. Half wood, half iron, deep hull, stable in the water, like a tiny armored vehicle for the ocean. Rough, brutalist, beautiful. I pushed open the thick wooden door and stumbled into the cabin. Silence. The walls and glass blocked out the wind, the rain, everything. It was dry. It was safe. Left side, a control panel with an empty steering wheel slot and the workbench. Right side, a single bed frame made of waterproofed wood. Simple? Yes. Luxury? Absolutely not. But it was dry and it was mine. I slid down the door, back against the wall, and collapsed on the floor. Looking up at this tiny 4-walled space, my ship, my home in the apocalypse, after being betrayed, stabbed, eaten by sharks, reborn, nearly frozen, nearly drowned, blown up, and set on fire all within 48 hours. My eyes started burning, and it wasn't from the fever. Last life, I was the unpaid servant on that fishing boat. Chu Xian's family treated me like their personal slave and acted like I owed them for the privilege of being alive. Every chore, every risk, every sacrifice. Well, obviously Lu Fan should do it. What else is he good for? Now? I had my own ship, my own walls, my own bed. For the first time in 2 lifetimes, I had dignity. I peeled off my wet shirt, hung it on the window handle, and climbed onto the hard wooden bed. Pulled out my iron carbon heating block and hugged it like a teddy bear. Warmth soaked into my frozen bones. The bed was basically a plank. The room was basically a closet. But compared to being stabbed, exploded, and rained on, this was the Ritz-Carlton. I passed out listening to rain hammering the glass. Next morning, rain stopped again. Sunshine. My mouth felt like I'd been gargling sandpaper and my throat was shredded. Touched my forehead. Fever was gone. That cold pill and the heating block literally saved my life overnight. My shirt had dried and smelled like pine wood. Nice. I pushed open the cabin door and got hit with salty ocean wind. The sea was eerily calm. Most of the tall buildings were completely underwater now. My stomach screamed at me. My lips were cracking. Zero food, zero water. If I don't find water and food soon, I survived explosions and sharks just to die of thirst. That would be the most embarrassing death in apocalypse history. I walked to the edge of my shiny new ship, summoned the fishing rod, and cast my first line of the day. Please, magic rod. Daddy needs a drink. Meanwhile, at Chu Xian's luxury apartment on floor 35. Ugh, the phone's completely dead. Chu Xian threw her phone on the couch and stared at the half-pack of crackers on the table like it personally offended her. That bastard Lu Fan. Did he die or something? He didn't even reply to me. Yeah, girl. Maybe because I turned off my satellite internet and threw my phone in a waterproof bag. But sure, I'm the bad guy here. Then the aunt and uncle pulled Chu Xian into the kitchen for a little family meeting. Sweetie, that Lu Fan kid is obviously dead. But Chen Zhe eats in 1 meal what we eat in 3. If we don't do something, we'll all starve. What do you suggest, Auntie? The neighbors have an inflatable raft. They bought it for their grandson to play in the pool. Let's have Chen Zhe go. Take it. Take it? Isn't that illegal? Uncle actually showed a flicker of conscience. We're about to starve and you're worried about laws? Go tell Chen Zhe to handle it. He's the only real man in this family. Uncle, that excuse me? Chu Xian thought about it for a second, nodded, and went to the bedroom. Chen Zhe grabbed a fruit knife. Sure, I'll do it. But the neighbors have a son, big guy, almost 40. Uncle, you're coming with me for backup. Uncle tried to refuse. Auntie pinched his side so hard he nearly screamed. He agreed. They went next door with kitchen knives. Knocked. No answer. Chen Zhe crowbarred the security door open. Inside, an elderly couple and their middle-aged son, armed with a rolling pin and a cleaver. Get out. Just borrowing your boat. It went exactly how you'd expect. Chen Zhe had martial arts training and zero hesitation. The son went down with his throat slashed before he could even swing. The parents charged and screaming. Total chaos. During the fight, the old man managed to stab uncle in the thigh before dying. Blood everywhere. Chen Zhe, help me up. I'm hurt bad. Chen Zhe walked over, looked down at uncle, and got this terrifyingly calm expression. That's a deep wound, uncle. If I bring you back, we have to feed you, take care of you. And that raft is pretty small. You're old. You're injured. Don't drag us down. Fruit knife. Straight through the heart. Twisted the handle for good measure. Dead is easier. Less stress for everyone. This guy killed his girlfriend's uncle, stuffed the raft and all the supplies into bags, then threw uncle's body out the window. Went home covered in blood. Where's uncle? Chu Xian and auntie rushed over. Chen Zhe squeezed out some tears and held up uncle's bloody sleeve. Those people, they were animals. Uncle tried to save me and they pushed him out the window. My husband. Auntie collapsed, wailing. Chu Xian was crying too, and Chen Zhe pulled her into his arms. Don't worry, babe. I barely survived. Give me a couple days to heal, and we'll leave. I will keep you alive. I trust you completely. She buried her face in his blood-soaked shoulder and hugged him tight. Truly, a match made in hell. They deserve each other so perfectly, it's almost beautiful. Back to me, 1 o'clock, afternoon. Sitting on the bow of MY ship, having the finest lunch the apocalypse has to offer. 1 500 milliliters bottle of mineral water. 1 bag of spicy beef jerky. And that original bag of spicy sticks from day one. The spice hit my tongue and the cold water washed it down, and I swear I felt my soul return to my body. I have never been more grateful for gas station snacks in my entire life. Morning haul wasn't bad. 5 casts got me. The water and beef jerky for immediate survival, plus a clean rubber tube, a bundle of wood beams, and a bag of quartz sand. All basic stuff, but in the apocalypse, everything is useful. Stats check, 11 out of 100 fishing attempts done. Skill at 63 out of 200. Spirit at 7 out of 30. Stamina at 50 out of 100. No time to rest. Keep casting. A while later, I was expecting another boring white tier pull when suddenly, the float plunged down and burst with green light. Green tier. I jumped up, reeled it in with practiced hands now. After a few minutes of tug-of-war, a heavy black waterproof case thudded onto my deck. I popped it open. I forgot how to breathe. Inside that waterproof case was a gun. A Type 64 pistol. Old-school Chinese police sidearm. Compact, reliable, and in a world where civilization has been replaced by whoever has the bigger stick wins, this was the biggest stick. 7 bullets in the magazine. Not a lot, but enough to make any survivor think twice before messing with me. My hands were literally shaking as I touched the cold metal. I stuffed it into my spatial ring immediately. Confidence level went from, please don't kill me, to, try me, see what happens. Kept fishing. I owed myself 2 extra casts from yesterday's lost attempts, so today was a grind day. 2 hours later, Cast 7 got me a windproof lighter. Cast 8 blessed me with a vacuum-compressed down comforter. An actual blanket. A warm one. No kid cries every single day. No gambling addict loses every bet. I was rebuilding the glory of fishermen everywhere. Cast 9, the grand finale. 1 hour of total focus. The float lit up green. Come on, baby, give daddy the goods. I yanked that line with everything I had. Fishing successful. Obtained. Fine-grade blueprint. Basic drip filter freshwater purifier. Finally, I slapped my thigh so hard it echoed across the ocean. Threw the blueprint on the workbench immediately. Materials needed. Main component. Fine-grade household RO reverse osmosis membrane filter. The thing that actually turns seawater into drinking water. Side materials. Plastic bottle or bucket, water tank. Charcoal bits, absorbs impurities. Rubber tube, water flow. Cotton cloth or quartz sand, protects the RO membrane from clogging. The description was hilariously honest. A crude device that will nonetheless save your pathetic life. Compared to boiling methods, uses less energy, produces more stable freshwater output, and the warning, without electricity or a high-pressure pump, you can only use gravity to push seawater through the RO membrane. This process will be agonizingly slow, so slow you'll want to smash it. But until you find better power, this is your only way to get fresh water. Slow and infuriating? Sounds like my entire life. I'll take it. The side materials were easy. I already had rubber tubing and quartz sand from this morning. I could burn some wood beams for charcoal and plastic bottles. The ocean was basically a floating garbage dump. Plenty of those. But that RO membrane filter. Fishing for one specific item could take dozens of casts. I might die of thirst before the rod cooperated. I looked up. The current had drifted my ship toward downtown overnight. About 200 meters ahead was a 30-story office building. Office buildings have fish tanks. Fish tanks have water filters. Water filters have RO membranes. I've got a gun and a machete. Time to go shopping. I strutted into the cabin, grabbed the steering wheel, and fired up the diesel engine to drive over there like a boss. The workbench immediately flashed red text. Engine status. Severely damaged. Requires fine-grade mechanical repair kit to fix. I slapped my own forehead so hard I saw stars. I was so excited about upgrading the ship last night that I completely forgot the engine was broken. My beautiful armored boat weighed over a ton and had 0 propulsion. It was basically a very cool, very heavy brick. Fine. Caveman mode it is. I pulled a wood beam from the spatial ring, hacked it into a paddle with my machete, and started rowing. A 1-ton steel and wood boat. With a homemade wooden paddle. In ocean current. Luckily the waves were pushing in roughly the right direction. I just had to steer a little. But 200 meters felt like 200 kilometers. My arms were screaming. Every stroke was accompanied by a grunt that would have made a tennis player proud. When I fix this engine, I'm going 80 miles per hour. I don't care if the boat falls apart at 79. Half an hour of pure suffering later, my boat bumped gently against the 18th floor of the office building. I caught my breath, then peered through the grimy floor-to-ceiling windows. Inside, a half-flooded advertising company. Desks and chairs floating everywhere. A dark hallway stretching into blackness like the throat of some beast. Dead silent except for water lapping against walls. I wedged the bow into the window frame so my ship wouldn't drift away, gripped the machete, felt the pistol waiting in my spatial ring, took a deep breath, and climbed inside. The second my feet hit the water, knee-deep, murky yellow, full of dissolved paper pulp and mystery garbage, a chill crawled up my legs. Every step was careful and slow. The floor under the water was a minefield of broken glass, rusty staples, and who knows what. One cut on my foot in this environment, and I'd get tetanus faster than you can say. No hospitals exist anymore. The air smelled like mold, rot, and dead fish all having a party together. But the real problem? Everything was cleaned out. Every computer, every solid wood desk, every chair leg, gone. Only soggy particle board and plastic shells left behind. Someone already raided this place. I checked office after office. Same story everywhere. Even the curtains had been stripped clean. The break room? Cabinet doors hanging open, shelves bare. The spot where a water purifier should have been? Just 2 holes in the wall. Someone had surgically removed the entire unit and even sliced the tubes clean with a knife. They took everything? Even the tubes? Okay. So the survivors in this building had gotten organized, collected all useful resources, and probably stockpiled them on the top floors. Fine. That actually saves me time. Instead of searching room by room like an idiot, I'll just go straight to the top and take what I need. I headed for the stairwell. But as I passed a small office right next to the stairs, a wall of stench hit me like a truck. Not the usual mildew smell. This was rotting meat mixed with something that smelled like a broken sewer pipe. I held my breath, pressed against the wall, and peeked through the doorless frame. In the dim light, I saw what was inside. Holy crap. That's brutal. 4 or 5 bodies floating in that office. All women, all naked, skin bloated white from the water, covered in bruises and cigarette burn marks. It was day 6 of the apocalypse. 6 days. And these animals had already built a torture chamber in an office building. Even I almost threw up, and I've literally been eaten by sharks. I was about to back away when heavy footsteps echoed from the stairwell above. I slipped into a shadow and watched. 2 guys in filthy suits came down carrying a fresh body. Another woman, no clothes, neck hanging limp, white foam still on her lips. Barely cold. They tossed her into that room like she was a garbage bag. Splash. This is evil, man. The one with glasses wiped sweat off his face. All for half a piece of bread. Boss Peng and his guys took turns with her. She didn't even get to eat it before she died. Shut up. You trying to get killed? The tall one hissed. Blame her luck. All the supplies are in the boss's hands. We're lucky we get to eat it all. Feel sorry for her. Feel sorry for yourself first. Miss your quota today, and you don't eat tonight. Glasses muttered a quick, rest in peace, at the body, and they both hurried back upstairs. I stepped out of the shadows. My eyes felt like ice. Boss Peng. So that's the little emperor running this building. Which also meant the RO membrane filter I needed was almost certainly sitting in his personal stash up top. Looks like I'm dealing with some nasty customers. Oh wait, no? They're dealing with me. I checked my pistol magazine. Confirmed it was loaded. Then I started creeping up the stairs. 30th floor. The top. Thick carpet on the floor. Big windows, big view. Inside the CEO's corner office, 3 middle-aged men lounging on leather couches like they owned the world. Which, in their tiny flooded kingdom, they basically did. Boss Peng was the centerpiece. Fat, mean-faced, puffing a Cuban cigar like a Bond villain who shopped at Costco. Tiny eyes squished between rolls of flesh. On the coffee table, fancy red wine and sliced canned meat. These 3 were living their best apocalypse life, while 100 people downstairs starved. Good news, boys. Peng flicked his cigar ash. Got through on the satellite phone. My contacts at West Huan Mountain are still alive. They're sending a boat in 5 days. The other 2, Balding Sue and Skinny Nyo, practically fell over themselves kissing his feet. Wow. Boss Peng, your connections are incredible. You have to bring us along. We're counting on you. Peng waved his hand like a king accepting tribute. Of course, of course. We're all in this together. Then his face changed. He glanced at the half-empty food plate. By the way, how many women are left? That last one was disappointing. Nice face. But she broke after just 2 hours. He said that. Like he was reviewing a product on Amazon. 2 stars. Fragile build. Would not purchase again. Sue rubbed his hands. Don't worry, boss. We've still got over a dozen locked up downstairs. 5 or 6 good-looking ones left. Plenty for your entertainment. As for supplies, Sue hesitated. We've got over 100 people crammed in the lower floors. One thin meal a day, and we'll still run out in 3 days. Silence. Peng took a long drag of his cigar and shook his head. 3 days is too tight. He tapped his fingers on the armrest with a little smile. Since the rescue boat won't be here for 5 days, let's stop wasting food on dead weight. Tonight, have Li Hua's boys start a riot. Kill all the useless men and the ugly women. Dump them in the water. Sue and Yo flinched. They'd been expecting something dark, but hearing it said out loud so casually still rattled them. Any objections? Peng's beady eyes slid over to them. No. No objections. Brilliant strategy, Boss Peng. Sue mopped his forehead. This is just resource optimization. Sometimes sacrifices must be made for the greater good. I'll go arrange everything right away. Peng sipped his wine and gazed out at the ocean with a cruel little smirk. In this apocalypse, the cheapest resource is human life. I was crouched in the stairwell, listening to every word. 7 bullets in my gun. 3 scumbags in that room. The math was looking real favorable. 29th floor. The main hall. Over 100 survivors crammed into an open office area that smelled like a gym locker room after a heat wave. In one corner, a woman, 150 centimeters tall, 198 kilograms heavy, basically a human cube, was picking food scraps out of her teeth while lecturing the skinny, pretty girl next to her. Listen to me, Xiaoyu. Those girls who went upstairs are probably eating like queens up there. Sure, they're selling their bodies, but that beats starving down here, right? Xiaoyu hugged her knees, eyes hollow. But Xiaoli, none of those girls ever came back. Don't you think something might be? What could happen? Zhou Xiaoli rolled her eyes so hard they almost got stuck. Those little tramps always wanted a sugar daddy. Now they got one. Why would they come back to this pigsty? She sighed dramatically and cranked her volume up. Honestly, those men have terrible taste. How can they not notice a natural beauty like me standing right here? The entire room went silent. 100 people stared at this roughly cube-shaped, natural beauty and collectively lost their appetites. Then the entrance door burst open. A crew-cut dude named Li Hua, Boss Peng's right-hand man, walked in with a squad of muscle. It's my time. Xiaoli's eyes went full spotlight mode. She launched herself at Li Hua like a human cannonball, and I swear the floor shook 3 times when she landed in front of him. Li Hua, darling, are you picking girls to go upstairs again? She squeezed her voice into a baby doll pitch and started wiggling her body in ways that defied physics. Look at me. Fair skin, pleasantly plump, guaranteed to satisfy Boss Peng. Dead. Silence. Every single person in that room stared at this woman who just described herself as pleasantly plump, while being roughly the shape and density of a small asteroid. Several people dry-heaved. Li Hua's eye twitched. He almost drew his knife right there. But no, he'd actually come down to quietly eliminate troublemakers and difficult-to-handle individuals before tonight's massacre. This one definitely qualified. He stepped back, whispered to his guys. This pig counts as one. Take her. His men plastered on fake smiles. Hey beautiful, come with us. Boss Peng is waiting upstairs. About time someone appreciated quality. Xiaoli sniffed arrogantly. Li Hua then spotted Xiaoyu, actually pretty, and told his guys to grab her too. But before Xiaoyu could stand up, Xiaoli kicked her in the chest and sent her flying. Xiaoyu's head smacked the floor, and she went unconscious instantly. Oopsie. Sorry, sweetie. My foot slipped, Xiaoli said with absolutely zero remorse. Can't let competition steal her spotlight. Li Hua clicked his tongue, looked at the unconscious Xiaoyu, and told someone to just throw her off the building. Then he left with his human wrecking ball. Once they were out in the hallway, even Xiaoli noticed something was wrong. They weren't going up to floor 30. They were heading down. Li Hua, darling? Wrong way. This goes downstairs. Nope. Right way. 2 thugs dropped the act and grabbed her shoulders. Help. Assault. Assault. Xiaoli went absolutely nuclear. She let out a scream that sounded like a pig being slaughtered in a cathedral, and her body generated some kind of primal fat-powered force explosion that launched both men into the walls. The entire floor shook. Down in the stairwell, I froze mid-step and stared upward. Wait, do they have livestock up there? What are they feeding it? Li Hua called for backup. 4 grown men wrestled her down like they were competing in an extreme rodeo event and duct-taped her mouth shut. They were drenched in sweat. "Get this thing downstairs and deal with it." "No traces," Lihua panted. Four guys carried the still-thrashing human boulder down toward the 25th floor. The two in front suddenly stopped. "Someone's here, probably a hiding survivor. Go check." Catching one means bonus points. They went into the dark corridor to investigate. 1 minute. 2 minutes. Total silence. Not even a fart. The bearded guy got impatient, handed Xiaoli duty to Hat Guy, and went in after them. "Hey, where'd you two G?" He froze. Then his legs started moving backward in the creepiest way possible, like a video playing in reverse. Hat Guy opened his mouth to ask what was happening. Beardy collapsed. Face down. Very dead. A machete came spinning out of the darkness like a boomerang of death, caught Hat Guy right in the throat before he could blink. He grabbed his neck, blood erupting between his fingers, and dropped. That was me. 4 down. 26-ish to go. I stepped out of the shadows, picked up my machete, flicked the blood off, walked over to the duct-taped Xiaoli, who had just witnessed 4 men die in under 60 seconds and had, understandably, peed herself. She was squirming on the floor, trying to inchworm away from me. I cut the tape off her mouth with my knife tip. "Shut up." One scream, and I cut out your tongue. "Answer my questions, and you live." She nodded so fast her chins created a small windstorm. "Told me everything. Survivors on 29, Peng, and all supplies on 30. Only way up is through a central staircase on 29, and about 30 armed men total. 30 armed guys guarding one staircase. With my 7 bullets and a machete. Frontal assault was suicide." I looked down at Hat Guy. About my height and build. I stripped his jacket and pants, put them on, pulled his hat low over my face. "Disguise acquired." What are you going to do?" Xiaoli stuttered. "Big brother, I told you everything. Take me somewhere safe." I didn't even look at her. "Hide yourself. I saved your life, and you're making demands? Did the fat squeeze your brain into a pancake?" Something switched in her eyes. She could tell I wasn't the type to kill without reason, and suddenly she got bold. "If you don't carry me out of here, I'll scream. I'll bring everyone in this building down on your head. Let's see you run then." She opened her massive mouth to shriek. HHH. My machete moved before my brain even finished the thought. She felt a brief coolness across her neck. Her head detached from her shoulders and thunked onto the floor. Body twitched twice and stopped. I gave her a couple extra chops just to be safe. In the apocalypse, you can never be too careful. Peace and quiet at last. I wiped the blade, took a breath, and looked up the dark stairwell. This building was going to be a lot more trouble than I thought. 5 minutes later, I was at the 29th floor stairwell door, hat pulled low, wearing a dead man's clothes. Just another Tuesday in the apocalypse. I pushed through the door. "Oh, Han bro. Back already? Where are the others?" 2 guards. Friendly. Clearly thought I was Hat Guy. I made my voice as raspy as possible. "Those 3. Suddenly got in the mood. Said they wanted to have some fun first before coming back up." "Fun? With what?" The guards' brains instantly pictured 200-kilogram Xiaoli, and they both physically recoiled. "God, those guys have disgusting taste. Aren't they afraid of being crushed to death?" One of them dry heaved. "Whatever, man, go on up." Lee was calling everyone to assemble. I walked right past them. Easiest infiltration of my life. Up on the 30th floor, about 20 guys were standing in 2 rows, armed with steel pipes and watermelon machetes. I slipped into the back of the line like I belonged there. Lihua strutted in front of the group like a general addressing his troops. "Listen up. You are the elite handpicked by Boss Peng and myself. Tonight's mission is simple. Eliminate every useless eater and ugly person downstairs. Once it's done, the boat comes in 5 days, and we all ride to West Huan Mountain to live like kings." "Yes, Sir." 20 psychopaths grunted in unison. Lihua nodded, satisfied with his little army of murderers. Then he walked straight toward the back of the line. Straight toward me. Oh no. Did he notice? Every muscle in my body went tight. My hands behind my back shifted into position. One wrong move from this guy, and I'd pull the pistol from my ring and put a bullet through his forehead. Lihua stopped in front of me, sighed heavily, then slapped my shoulder with a big fake smile. "Little Han, you're my most valued guy. Tonight's operation, you're the team captain. I'm putting you in charge." What? I almost broke character. I came here for a water filter. Now I'm leading a genocide squad. This guy was absolutely destroying my mental stability. I could only nod, hat pulled as low as physically possible. Why's your hat so low? Got an attitude? Li Hua leaned in close, threatening. Remember your place. I'm the boss. You do what I say. Then he flipped back to his fake smile like a switch. We're all security company elites here. Stand tall. I believe in you. He turned to the group. Dismissed. Rest up. The second it gets dark, we move, I exhaled. Finally, I could slip away and, come on, little Han. Boss Peng wants to see us. And remember, talk less, nod more. Are you kidding me right now? I wanted to scream, but I kept my mouth shut and followed him into the boss's office. There was Peng, sitting in his big leather chair facing the window, cigar in hand, gazing at the ocean like he was in a perfume commercial. The world's most disgusting perfume commercial. Sit. He tossed 2 Dove chocolates onto the coffee table without looking. Try those. Dogs wouldn't touch them before. Now they're worth more than gold bars. Li Hua ripped one open and shoved it in his mouth. Boss Peng, what do you need from us? Peng slowly turned around with a snake smile. News from West Huan Mountain. Mutant fish have appeared in the waters. They're switching from big boats to speedboats for safety. Limited seats. Wait, mutant fish? Those weren't supposed to show up for another 6 days. Did they come early too, just like last night's storm? This timeline was getting more screwed up by the minute. Peng held up 3 fat fingers. We only have 3 tickets. Li Hua stopped chewing. I wanted to bring more people, but, Peng sighed dramatically. You two are my best men. You're guaranteed spots. Thank you, Boss Peng. Li Hua's eyes were glowing. Thank you. I mumbled under my hat. Also, Peng's voice went ice cold. Su and Nio and their people are dead weight now. During tonight's chaos, I don't want to see them breathing tomorrow morning. Done. Li Hua jumped up and made a throat-slitting gesture. Little Han and I will handle them personally. Good. Little Han, wait outside. Li Hua and I have private matters. I couldn't leave fast enough. Almost tripped over my own feet getting out. The second the door closed behind me, I'm sure this happened, Peng leaned in and whispered, actually, there are only 2 tickets. Li Hua's eyes went wide, nodded immediately. Little Han is loyal but stupid. A deadweight. After we deal with Su and Nio, get rid of him too. I don't want loose ends. Boss, great minds think alike. I never liked that guy anyway. Good dog. I mean good man. Go. And after Li Hua left, I'd bet my entire spatial ring that Peng turned back to the window, puffed his cigar, and smiled. Because the real number of tickets? 1. Everyone was disposable. Li Hua was a useful attack dog with an expiration date. Peng planned to step on all their skulls on his way to building his new business empire. I know this type. Met plenty in my previous life. The kind of scum who genuinely believes the world needs them to survive. 30 minutes later, night fell. No electricity in the building. A few metal barrels filled with burning desk legs and wood scraps provided flickering orange light. In that firelight, I finally located the supply room. Old finance department. 6 big guards posted at the door, 2 each from Peng's, Su's, and Nio's factions, all watching each other so nobody could steal extra water. Through the gap in the door, I could see it. Several commercial water purifiers sitting in the corner, already dismantled. My RO membrane filters. Right there. Finally found you. You beautiful pieces of plumbing equipment. I was calculating my approach when a heavy hand slammed onto my shoulder from behind. Little Han, what are you staring at? Li Hua appeared behind me like a jump scare, holding 2 shiny mountain-cleaving machetes. Time's up. Let's go handle business first. I glanced at the supply room guards, then at Li Hua. Forced myself to stay calm. Storming the supply room with 6 guards, and this maniac right next to me? Terrible plan. Better to play along, let the chaos start, then grab what I need in the confusion. I nodded and followed him to where Su and Nio were hanging out. We stopped outside a conference room turned luxury suite. Even through the soundproofing you could hear. Noises. Lots of noises. We're about to die, but let's party kind of noises. These idiots are still having fun? They're about to be dead. Li Hua sneered, gave me a look, and kicked the door open. Inside. Candlelight, a big round bed, Su and Nio both buck naked doing some kind of dance, surrounded by half-dressed women, mystery liquids on the floor, and torn stockings everywhere. It looked like the world's saddest nightclub. Su scrambled for his underwear. Li Hua, you want to die breaking into my room. Sorry to interrupt the party, gentlemen. Li Hua closed the door behind us, both blades gleaming. Boss Peng wanted me to deliver a message. Today is your death day. Su lunged for a steel pipe by the bed. Liwa didn't give him half a second. Two blades spinning like a blender. Su got opened up like a zipper. Neo tried to run but got his neck half severed. His head was hanging sideways like a broken doll, still leaking. The women screamed and stampeded toward the door, where I was standing. One grabbed my leg, crying, "Please, let me go? I only did this for food. I'll do anything." I looked down at her. Complex feelings. In this world, women sell their bodies and men sell their lives. If you can't do either, you're livestock. I was about to open the door and let them scatter. More chaos means easier looting for me. But Li Hua had gone full berserker mode. He charged over and cut down every single woman in the room before I could move. Blood everywhere. Screaming stopped. Then he wiped blood off his face, turned around, and started walking toward me. Knife raised. Little Han, Su and Neo are dealt with. Now, it's your turn. I looked at this blood-soaked psychopath walking toward me, and I actually smiled. Slowly took off the hat, revealing my very much not Han face. Hey, Little Hua, being this ruthless isn't very nice, you know. His feet froze. Eyes went huge. Who are you? Where's Han? He tried to lunge, then saw the black hole of a gun barrel pointing right between his eyebrows. Every muscle in his body locked up instantly. Security Company Elite, remember? He recognized the Type 64 immediately. Safety off. Hammer cocked. Very real. Very loaded. Don't shoot. Drop the knives. Hands up, he dropped them. Raised his hands. But I could see his brain doing math. We were less than 5 meters apart. In his head, if his first shot misses or the gun jams, I can snap his neck in 1 second. Brother, let's talk about this. His mouth was begging, but his legs exploded forward, diving sideways toward a table for cover, betting everything on my first shot missing. And I did something that made absolutely no sense. Instead of pulling the trigger, I wound my arm back like I was going to throw the gun at him like a rock. Li was brain short-circuited. He's throwing the gun? Is it empty? He's bluffing. It's a prop. His eyes lit up with murderous joy. He locked onto my hand, ready to catch the incoming metal and use it as a weapon. My arm swung forward. The gun vanished from my hand, replaced by a blood-stained firewood machete. At this distance, with my full throwing power, the blade was basically invisible. Wah! Thunk! The machete punched through his chest like a hot knife through butter, carrying him backward into the wall. He looked down at the knife vibrating in his ribcage, then looked up at the gun that had magically reappeared in my hand. His entire understanding of reality crumbled. This is called outsmarting you, Little Hua. I put the hat back on, walked over, and yanked out the machete. Your goons are right outside. Gunshots are loud. Would have brought everyone running. Use your brain next time. He opened his mouth to respond. Blood poured out instead. Head tilted. Done. I put the machete back in the ring, dusted myself off, and stepped outside. 20-something dudes in the hall, armed and ready, all looking at me. Captain Han, where's Boss Hua? Constipated, I said without missing a beat. Told us to go ahead. Huh? But without him, how do we? Are you serious right now? I cranked my voice to maximum drill sergeant volume. Boss Peng gave you one simple job. See someone, stab someone. Do I need to teach you how to hold a knife? Anyone who slows down the mission and costs us our boat tickets, I will personally end them. Dead silence. Turns out Quiet Guy Han going full rage mode was absolutely terrifying to them. Captain Han is right. Some Brownoser veteran jumped forward. We're the elite of the new world. Let's go? 3 groups. Downstairs. Clean house. For the boat tickets. For the boat tickets. These idiots didn't need a second invitation. They stampeded toward the stairwell like Black Friday shoppers. Even the 6 supply room guards abandoned their posts to join the fun. In under 60 seconds, the entire 30th floor was completely empty. Morons, I sprinted to the supply room. Half a crate of canned food, some crackers, water bottles, wine, random junk, decent but not amazing. I went straight for the water purifiers in the corner. 1 machete chop to the casing, candlelight to see by, and successfully collected non-fishing material. Fine-grade household RO reverse osmosis membrane filters times 5. 5? Jackpot. I moved fast, stripped off the disguise clothes, stuffed the filters in my own pockets. 5 filters meant I could build the purifier and have replacements for months. I pulled out my windproof lighter for more light and started grabbing everything else worth taking. I'm here, might as well fill my pockets. Then a blade pressed against my lower back. Ice-cold steel, right on the kidney, and Boss Peng's oily voice slithered into my ear. I knew something was off about you. Where's Li Hua? Dead, I'm guessing. I didn't move. Just used my peripheral vision to check the shadow behind me. That shadow was wide enough to be a wall. For a guy this fat to sneak up on me without a sound, this dude had real skills hiding under all that blubber. Don't move. The knife pushed half an inch deeper, slicing through my shirt and drawing a line of blood on my lower back. His other hand patted me down. Found no weapons, because everything was in my spatial ring. All he found were the RO membrane filters in my pocket. Oh, so that's what you're stealing. He held up the filters, laughing like a jolly Santa if Santa was a serial killer. Anyone who can take out Li Hua quietly and infiltrate my operation. You've got talent, kid. I respect that. Then he tossed the filters back to me and stepped away, doing his best, generous emperor impression. I won't kill you. In fact, I'll give you an opportunity. How about it? I slowly turned around, hands up, staring at this meat mountain. What opportunity? A deal. I give you a boat ticket to West Huan Mountain. In exchange, you become my trusted associate. Help me build the apocalypse's first business empire. I looked at his smug face. This man who fed women to his friends for entertainment and was planning to massacre 100 people tonight, and he wanted me to be his employee. That's it? My expression was the one you make when someone tries to sell you a timeshare. Not interested. One lousy boat ticket to be his attack dog? This idiot had been playing king of his little 30-floor castle so long he'd gone delusional. I was going to West Huan Mountain eventually anyway. On MY terms. His smile froze. Eyes went cold. Hard way it is, then. Haven't fought in over a decade. Let's see if I've still got it. Before I could even think about summoning my gun, his fist connected with my chest like a freight train. I flew backward into the wall, coughing blood. My heart almost stopped. Literally. This fat piece of garbage wasn't just crafty, he was fast. His punch left afterimages. Afterimages. From a guy who weighed 300 pounds. What was he in his previous career? A sumo boxer. I wanted to pull out the gun and end this, but my entire body was paralyzed. Couldn't even lift my wrist, let alone pull a trigger. Young man, I can tell you've danced with death before. You're not ordinary. He twirled the knife on his fingertip like a circus trick. Last chance. Say yes, and I'll throw in a free secret. Something I think a guy like you would love to know. I accept, I said immediately. Survive first. My legs work fine. I can betray him literally whenever I want. Peng smiled, leaned close, and dropped his voice to a whisper. Do you know why the government chose West Huan Mountain, a random barren mountain, for their base? Because it's tall, shallow thinking, kid. The truth is, on the very first day of rain, officials discovered inside that mountain an ancient cave. Lightning exploded right outside the window, drowning out his words completely. Rain slammed the glass like the sky was throwing a tantrum specifically to prevent me from hearing classified information. I didn't catch the last few words. Seriously? The one time someone's about to tell me something actually useful, thunder decides to. Then I saw Peng's face. His smug expression was gone, replaced by raw, animal terror. He was staring out the window, eyes bulging, blood vessels popping. No. Impossible. That thing. How? I followed his gaze. Lightning lit up the ocean. Out there in the black water, something massive was cutting through the waves, heading straight toward us. Not a ship, a living thing. Then, from deep underwater, came a sound. Boom. Not loud exactly, but it went through my skull, through my chest, through my bones. The entire 30-story building shook like a giant had grabbed it and given it a squeeze. Steel beams groaned and twisted. Crack. The floor split open beneath us. The overloaded slab, weakened by all the stockpiled supplies and one extremely heavy crime boss, gave way completely. That was all I got out before I was falling, riding chunks of concrete through the ceiling into the 29th floor below. The survivors' hall. Blood on the carpets. People screaming everywhere. And then the ceiling collapsed on top of them. Supplies, rubble, and 2 human beings crashed through in a cloud of dust. Peng, I'll give him this. The fat man was athletic. He rolled on impact, staggered to his feet coughing, and immediately pointed at me where I was crawling upright clutching my chest. Lucky you survived. Now, kill these people. Consider it your entrance exam. I laughed. Cold. My hands were hanging limp at my sides, but I could feel the tingling returning to my fingers. Hey, fat man. Ever heard this saying? Beyond 7 steps. What's fastest? Peng sensed danger. Gripped his knife. All that face meat quivered. Tricks? You want to die? His instincts kicked in. He read the murder in my eyes, took a breath, and launched himself at me like a cannonball. 300 pounds of martial arts blubber, wind howling around him. If that hit a normal person, every bone would shatter. I looked up at the incoming human missile. Calm as ice. Beyond 7 steps. The gun is fastest. My right hand flipped over. The Type 64 materialized in my palm. Raised. Aimed. Smooth as water. But within 7 steps, the gun is fast and accurate. What? Peng tried to stop his charge. His tiny eyes shrank to pinpricks. You have no honor. Bang. One clean shot echoed through the silent hall. A red flower bloomed on Peng's forehead. His enormous body swayed. He stared at me through the smoking hole in his skull, absolute disbelief written on what was left of his face. I blew the wisp of smoke from the barrel. Sir, the times have changed. Thud. 300 pounds of evil hit the floor. Dust cloud. Eyes still open, staring at the ceiling, forever wondering where that gun had been hiding. The whole hall went dead silent. Every single person, the killers, the survivors, everyone, stared at the gun in my hand and turned white as paper. Boss Peng is dead. We're all gonna die. Run. This lunatic will kill us all. Total panic. People running in every direction like headless chickens. I ignored them. That sound from the ocean. That shadow in the water. Whatever that thing was, it was way above my pay grade. Time to go. I stood up to leave, and 8 guys with machetes stopped running. They looked at each other from 8 different positions around me. These were Peng's remaining enforcers. And they'd done the math. 1 gun. 1 shot fired. 6 bullets left, maximum. 8 of them. The Scarface leader licked his lips. Boys, rush him from all sides. He can't react fast enough. 8 men, eyes blazing with greed, started closing in like wolves circling a wounded deer. Get the gun and everything in this building. Is OURS. Kill him. I looked at these 8 idiots who apparently did not learn from what just happened to their 300-pound kung fu master, and clicked my tongue. You want the gun that badly? Fine. You can all stay here. 6 bullets. 8 guys. Spread out in a circle around me. Wasting precious ammo on cannon fodder? Absolutely not. These bullets are premium. Each one costs more than these idiots' entire life savings. Can't fight 8 fists with 2 hands? Fine. Cut off a hand first and scare the rest. I exploded sideways without warning. Bang. The slowest guy on my flank was still raising his pipe when his brain got a new ventilation hole. Down. Before anyone could blink, the gun vanished from my hand. Machete appeared. One fluid motion. I slid between 2 guys like a ghost and opened both their throats in a single arc. 2 seconds. 3 bodies. The remaining 5 stood frozen, legs turning to jelly. Even a professional hitman couldn't switch between weapons that smoothly. And how did a gun turn into a knife? What was happening? I flicked the blood off my blade. Anyone else feeling brave? 5 men looked at each other. 5 men decided they were not feeling brave. Then, BLM. Something hit the building. Not an earthquake. Something rammed it. Like a 747 crashed into the foundation. The entire 30-story structure lurched sideways. The floor tilted to 30 degrees. People lost their footing instantly. Survivors, killers, everyone, sliding across the floor toward the windows like human bowling balls on a ramp. Glass shattered in a wave. Dozens of people flew out into the black, storm-torn ocean below. No splashes. The waves just swallowed them whole. I felt the floor disappear under my feet. Sliding fast. I jammed my machete into the floor like an ice pick. SCRRK, sparks flying, blade cutting through cheap composite flooring, until it caught on a structural beam and stopped me. Then some dude slid down from above and bear-hugged my leg like a koala on a branch. Bro, don't leave me. Take me with you. I don't want to die. Snot, tears, fingernails digging into my flesh. Buddy, you were trying to kill me 30 seconds ago. My machete groaned under the extra weight. My chest was still on fire from Peng's punch. Carrying this parasite was a death sentence for both of us. Let go, Save me. I'll be your. Crack. I stomped his finger joints. Bones snapped like crackers. Ah. Before he could grab on again, I kicked him square in the face. Nose caved in. He tumbled backward, smashed through a remaining window panel, and disappeared screaming into the abyss. The building kept tilting. 45 degrees. 60. The floor was becoming a wall. My machete handle was bending, about to snap. This wasn't sustainable. I looked up, load-bearing pillar near the corridor entrance. About 10 meters up. Well, sideways now. The fishing rod appeared in my hand. I cast it one-handed while death gripping the machete with the other. The hook shot out, wrapped around the pillar several times, and locked into a solid knot. I wound the line around my body twice, the thin cord cutting into my skin even through clothes, but the anchor held. Stable. Pulled the machete free and used it as a climbing pick. Stab, pull, inch upward. Stab, pull, inch upward. Mountain climbing on what used to be an office floor. Finally reached the pillar, swung myself over, and landed in the corridor, on what used to be the wall, now functioning as the ground. The second I sat down, kaboom. The upper half of the building broke OFF. Gravity went sideways. I went airborne. Slammed into the ceiling, then the floor, then the ceiling again. The ocean punched through the windows. A tidal wave of freezing black seawater flooded the entire space in seconds. I was behind a wall that blocked most of the impact, barely. But the current grabbed me anyway and smashed me into a corridor corner. Everything went dark. Cold. Can't breathe. Is this where I die? Lungs burning. Body screaming to inhale. But all there was to breathe was salt water. For a second I was back in my previous life. Standing on that boat. Falling backward. Sharks closing in. And oh, I didn't come back from the dead to drown in an office building. My eyes snapped open. Bloodshot red. I held my last breath and kicked through the murky water. Pushed past floating corpses and debris. Aimed for the shattered window at the end of the corridor. Squeezed through the broken glass, jagged edges scraping my skin, and I was out. Free of the sinking building. Total darkness. But above me, faint flashes of lightning through the water surface. That's up. About 20 meters. With my remaining lung capacity. Maybe I could make it. I kicked hard, ready to rocket upward, and felt it. A current. From below. Something massive displacing water beneath me. I looked down. Lightning lit the ocean for one heartbeat. And in that flash, I saw it. Rising from the deep like a nightmare given flesh. A shadow so enormous my brain couldn't even process the scale. A mouth full of teeth the size of my arm. Aimed directly at me. Moving faster than anything that big had any right to move. Come on. I completely lost it. All of this, surviving rebirth, building a ship, infiltrating a building, killing a kung fu walrus, fighting 8 assassins, escaping a collapsing skyscraper. All of that was just so I could drink clean water. And now a SEA monster was about to eat me like a breath mint. Was I cursed? Did I offend some ocean deity in a past life? Is clean drinking water really too much to ask for? I couldn't outswim it. Nothing could outswim that. So I did the only thing left. I gripped my god-level fishing rod, gritted my teeth, and cast it straight at that nightmare mouth. If this overgrown sardine was going to eat me, I was going to give it the worst case of mouth inflammation in marine biology history. Humans are not easy prey. The glowing hook shot forward, ignoring water resistance, and embedded itself deep in the creature's flesh. Fishing in progress. Host stamina, 0. Upon successful catch, host will enter complete unconsciousness. I laughed. Hand slipped off the rod. Brain shutting down. Yeah, no kidding. I was about to suffocate anyway. The shadow filled my entire vision. The hook was buried in its mouth. The darkness closed in, dying before being chewed up. That's actually kind of lucky, right? I smiled. Closed my eyes. Lights out. The creature swallowed me whole. Then, somewhere in the void, warning, spirit value too low. Data. Cannot display. Fishing successful. Obtained. Type. Rarity. Detecting host in critical condition. Forcibly modifying fishing protocol. Converting target to special contract. I don't know how long I was out. Floating in endless darkness. No pain. No cold. No suffocating. Just warm. Like being wrapped in a cosmic blanket. My consciousness was drifting around like a feather in the wind. Am I dead? I opened my eyes. No ocean. Just soft white light everywhere. My hand was gripping something. Smooth, silky, incredibly elastic. I squeezed it. Soft. Very soft. Actually pretty nice. What is this? I leaned in to get a better look, and then, appearing in the white light like a mirage, was a tall female figure. Long sea-green hair flowing in zero gravity. Ethereal. Otherworldly. Before I could see her face, a voice exploded in my skull. Furious. Embarrassed. Royal. You insolent worm. How dare you defile this one's body? Oh, that soft thing I was squeezing was. Were it not for those accursed rules binding me, I would never acknowledge you as master. I will remember this debt. One day, I shall devour you alive to quench my fury. Now, get out, slap. My face felt like it got hit by a steel plate launched from a cannon. The dreamy white world shattered. My body dropped like a stone into infinite blackness. Next morning, birds chirping outside woke me up. Birds. Actual birds. I opened my eyes. Familiar wooden walls. Tiny cabin. My boat. How am I on my ship? I sat up, holding my throbbing head, replaying last night. Building collapse. Drowning. Giant monster swallowing me whole. All absolutely real. Not a dream. But I also had some kind of long, foggy dream. White void. Couldn't see anything clearly. Some woman screaming at me. Couldn't make out the words. Ow. My brain. I looked out the window. Calm sea. Gentle sunshine. Seabirds gliding across the water. Peaceful. Completely different universe from last night's apocalyptic nightmare. Wait, the fishing rod. Right before I got eaten, I cast the line. I summoned the rod and checked the panel. Status, healthy. Healthy? I was half dead with broken ribs and a cold yesterday. Fishing count, 16. Up by 1 from yesterday. So I did successfully cast. But there was no notification of what I caught. No new items in my spatial ring. Skill points didn't change. Spirit points didn't change. Did I catch nothing? But if it was a miss, how did I escape from inside a sea monster? And how were all my injuries healed? This makes zero sense. I raised my hand to rub my temples, and the moment my fingers touched my left cheek, AHHSSSS. Pain. Searing, throbbing, my face is a balloon pain. I scrambled to the window and used the glass as a mirror. My left cheek was swollen to twice its normal size, and imprinted on it, clear as day, was a handprint. Small, delicate fingers, each one perfectly visible, glowing angry purple-red. Definitely a woman's hand. And whoever she was, she nearly slapped my skull clean off my spine. Who did this? I spun around. Empty boat. Just me. One whole dude. 0 women. Okay, let me think. The sea monster thought I tasted bad and spat me out. Then some random woman fished me from the ocean, slapped me, dropped me back on my boat, and left? Even I had to admire my own imagination. I should write novels. Then my neck started burning. I pulled my collar down and looked. 3 blue-green lines had appeared on my neck, right over the artery. They looked like scales from some kind of creature, branded deep into my flesh, faintly glowing in rhythm with my heartbeat. I scratched them, picked at them, tried to peel them off. Nothing. They were part of me now. Like an organ. Okay, I'm definitely still dreaming. I flopped back on the bed and gave up thinking. You know what? I'm alive. I'm on my boat. Whatever insane supernatural nonsense happened last night. Mystery green-haired goddess, face slap from another dimension, glowing neck tattoo. I'll deal with it later. Whatever you are, God, ghost, sea monster, you left a mark on me, which means this isn't over. Next time I see you, I'm slapping you back. I pulled my collar up to cover the tattoo, checked my pockets, 5 RO membrane filters, all intact, and got to work. First priority, build that water purifier. I'm dying of thirst. I went out on deck and checked the blueprint. Main material, RO filters, check. Side materials, rubber tube, check. Quartz sand, check. Still missing, charcoal bits and a plastic bottle. Plastic bottles? The ocean was literally a garbage dump. Easy. Charcoal though, I needed to build a mini kiln. The process is called dry distillation. Heat wood in a low-oxygen container until it carbonizes without fully burning. I'd seen this on TikTok. Educational content finally paying off. I spotted a rusty metal barrel floating nearby, plus some plastic bottles and empty cans. Grabbed the fishing rod. Not for fishing this time, just as a grappling hook. Cast it at the barrel, hooked the handle ring, dragged everything back like a seafaring garbage collector. 1 barrel, 3 plastic bottles, 2 empty cans. Perfect. I emptied the barrel, stood it on deck, and pulled a wood beam from my ring. Too thick. Need to split it first. I summoned my trusty firewood machete, raised it, snap. The blade broke clean in half before I even swung. I picked up the pieces. Edge completely rolled, body covered in hairline cracks. After using it as a climbing pick in a collapsing skyscraper last night, the poor thing had given everything it had. Rest in peace, old friend. A moment of silence for the machete that killed Zhuang Niu, Chen Yang, Li Hua, 5 random thugs, and served as a mountaineering tool during a building collapse. A true warrior. But work doesn't stop for morning. I took a sharp broken piece of the blade, wedged it into a wood beam like a splitting wedge, then used another beam as a hammer. Bang! Bang! Caveman technology. But it worked. Soon I had a nice pile of wood strips. I poked a tiny air hole in the bottom of an empty can, stuffed it with wood strips, and placed it upside down in the center of the barrel. Surrounded it with kindling. A perfect micro-dry distillation kiln. Lighted up, wood shavings as tinder, flicked the windproof lighter, and soon the barrel was smoking. White wisps curling out of the can's air hole. While the charcoal cooked, I took a tiny sip of my last half bottle of water and immediately got back to fishing. Time is money. Supplies are never enough. And in this stupid apocalypse, every second counts. 5 hours of fishing later, early afternoon. Ocean flat as glass. Some seabirds landed on my bow to watch me work, carrying mysterious chunks of meat in their beaks. Even the birds were eating better than me. My rod was bent into a full crescent, lined tight against something heavy. Not a fighter, more like I'd hooked a sunken refrigerator. Just needed raw muscle. I cranked. Splash! A gray-green glowing orb crashed onto my deck, draped in seaweed, pulsing with techie green light. Fishing successful. Obtained. High-performance combat deep dive suit. Full set. ×1. Rarity. Fine grade. Nanofluid material. Stab resistant. Temperature regulating. Can withstand freezing water and bites from small sea creatures. And it came with accessories. A 6-liter high-pressure oxygen tank with a recycling filter system, 40 minutes at 60 meters depth, motorized flippers, 30% faster underwater, and a 5,000 lumen tactical spotlight. 9th cast of the day, and I hit the guaranteed pity drop. This was a second life in an ocean world. Fall overboard? Dive suit. Need underwater salvage? Dive suit. Giant sea monster. Okay, maybe not, but still. Morning report card. 7 basic items, 1 fine-grade hidden item, 1 miss. Not bad. My fishing skills were getting genuinely good. What used to take an hour of fighting over a bag of spicy sticks now took 30 minutes for a stable catch. Notable loot included a crowbar, heavy black carbon steel, hexagonal, made a satisfying whooshing sound when I swung it. With my machete broken, this was now my primary skull-cracking tool. Also got a set of navy blue windbreaker clothes. I looked down at myself. My current outfit had been soaked in seawater twice, sunbaked, and salt-crusted into a wearable cardboard box. Every movement scraped my skin like sandpaper. My armpits and thighs were raw, red, and peeling. I stripped naked on the deck, sorry, ocean birds, and changed into the fresh clothes. First good thing to touch my skin in days. Now the charcoal. I walked over to the barrel kiln that had been smoking all morning. Wall was warm, but not burning. I used the crowbar to fish out the upside-down can from the ashes. The wood strips inside had transformed into perfect black charcoal chunks. Light, crispy, made a little ting sound when I tapped them. Yes, I grabbed the charcoal and sprinted to the workbench. Slammed all the materials down at once. Plastic bottles, rubber tube, quartz sand, charcoal, RO membrane filters. Build it. Basic drip filter freshwater purifier. The workbench hummed. Blueprint got absorbed. Materials dissolved into light. Seconds later, crafting successful. Fine-grade basic drip filter freshwater purifier. Output, 40 to 45 milliliters per hour. Filtration precision, 0.0001 microns. Water quality, drinkable. It looked like a giant hospital 4-drip bag. Plastic reservoir on top for seawater, quartz sand and charcoal filter in the middle, RO membrane and output tube at the bottom. I hung it from the highest window hook in the cabin, placed a cut plastic cup underneath, and poured in a bottle of murky brown seawater. Gurgle gurgle. The brown water sank through the sand, turned yellowish through the charcoal, then crept toward the membrane. I sat cross-legged on my bed and stared at the output tube. 1 minute. 2 minutes. The cabin was so silent I could hear my own heartbeat. Then, at the tip of the tube, a single crystal-clear droplet formed. It wobbled, stretched into a tiny oval. Drip. It hit the cup bottom with the most beautiful sound I've ever heard in my life. Better than any symphony. Better than any song. A single drop of clean water. Drip, drip, drip. Agonizingly slow. One drop every few seconds. But I didn't move. Didn't look away. Just watched that tiny puddle grow millimeter by millimeter. For hours later. Sunset. About 150 milliliters in the cup. Half a glass. Clear, colorless, odorless. My hands were shaking as I picked it up. My lips were so dry they'd basically glued themselves together. I drank it all in one go. Cool liquid sliding down my scorched throat. Like rain on cracked desert earth. Every cell in my body throwing a party. My dried-out blood vessels inflating back to life. Hiya, my eyes got wet, and it wasn't from the salt water this time. Only someone who's been truly desperate knows what half a cup of tasteless room-temperature water means. This wasn't just water. This was my license to live. Thunder rumbled outside. Through the lightning flash, I could see storm clouds even thicker than last night rolling in. Another storm. Every single night now. My previous life's intel was officially garbage. Last time it was sunny for 5 straight days. This time, nightly hurricanes. Mutant fish appearing early. Building-swallowing sea monsters showing up out of nowhere. My rebirth didn't just reset my life. It kicked off a butterfly effect that was making everything worse and more unpredictable. I looked at the broken diesel engine sitting next to the workbench. Water problem. Solved. Next priorities. Power and food. In these nightly storms, my one wooden paddle wasn't going to save me from anything. I needed that engine fixed, then head to West Huan Mountain for real supplies and answers. This time around, I wasn't just going to survive. I was going to live better than anyone else in this flooded hellhole. Meanwhile, at Chu Xian's 35th floor luxury apartment, Chun Zhe was collapsed on the couch, squeezing an already empty water bottle into his mouth. Not a single drop left. His lips were white and cracking. Chu Xian was hunched over a trash can with a fruit knife, slicing up apple peels from the garbage, trying to suck any remaining moisture out of them. And Auntie, still clutching her weak little poodle, was staring out the window at the storm clouds, mechanically licking her own dried-out lips. When will this nightmare end? I don't know, Auntie. Maybe ask your dead husband. Oh wait. You're wonderful. Chunze stabbed him and threw him out a window. But hey, at least you still have the dog. Meanwhile, at Chu Xian's apartment, Chunze was having a great time. He smashed his empty water bottle on the floor. The rainwater we collected yesterday was so dirty, it gave me explosive diarrhea. And now the toilet's backed up so we can't even use it, Chu Xian whimpered. Maybe if Lu Fan was still alive. He probably had lots of supplies. Lu Fan. Lu Fan. All you talk about is Lu Fan. Chunze jumped up so fast he almost fainted from dehydration. That idiot is dead in the ocean. You think he's going to deliver water to your door? Dream on. Oh, how the tables have turned. The guy who stole my girlfriend, stabbed me through the chest, and murdered her uncle is now screaming about me while dying of thirst. Can't make this stuff up. He dragged out the inflatable raft, the one he murdered an entire family for, and started pumping it up. Grand plan. Tomorrow morning, paddle to the dock, find a yacht with a water purifier. Annie was terrified. But the water's so deep. What if we flip? Flipping is better than becoming a mummy. Unless you'd rather stay here and dry out like beef jerky. Annie shut up real fast. 3 people in a luxury apartment, taking turns stomping on an air pump, preparing for a desperate escape. Meanwhile, I was on my own ship, drinking clean water from my custom-built purifier, sleeping under a down comforter. Life is beautiful when you stop being everyone's doormat. Next morning, sunlight punched through the clouds. I launched out of bed like a missile, didn't even put on shoes, and dove straight for the window where the purifier had been dripping all night. The cup underneath was full. Not just full, overflowing. Water beads sliding down the sides. Hold steady. Don't spill. I held my breath and cradled that cup like it was a newborn baby. About 500 milliliters. Half a liter. In a world where fresh water was worth more than gold, this was enough to make someone commit murder. Crystal clear. 0 particles. Perfect. Every fiber of my being wanted to chug it all, but I forced myself to pour it into a screw cap bottle first. Not losing a single drop. Okay, I licked the cup. Don't judge me. bottle sealed, stashed in the safest corner of the cabin. Unless this ship literally explodes, that water is secure. I sat on my bed, heart still pounding. This was it. As long as this purifier kept running, I could float out here for a year and not die of thirst. The survival game had officially shifted in my favor. I stepped outside. Salty wind, same as always. The ship had drifted overnight. About a kilometer to my left stood half of a flashy skyscraper with giant gold letters. Song Entertainment. Oh, I'm in the West District now. I knew this area. West City Commercial Center. And about 5 or 6 kilometers from here was Fengjiang Gardens, where Chu Xian and Chun Zhe were slowly turning into human raisins. Funny how the current dragged me right back to the neighborhood. The universe has a sense of humor. Whatever. Those two could dehydrate in peace. I had bigger priorities, like making this boat move. I pulled up the engine repair list on the workbench. Fine-grade copper core coils ×2. Got them from dismantling the fishing boat. Fine-grade alloy crankshaft ×1. Missing fine-grade high-pressure fuel injector ×1. Missing fine-grade sealed piston ring set ×1. Missing all critical engine parts. Can't fish for them. That's like playing lottery. But wait, I remembered this neighborhood. I'd come here for a job interview once. Nearby, there used to be a massive hardware and machinery market. Shops full of generators, engine parts, heavy mechanical components. Sure, it was 50 meters underwater now, but metal parts are heavy. They don't float away. They'd still be sitting right there on the shelves. 50 meters deep. I've got a combat dive suit. Let's go. I pulled the deep dive suit out of my ring, ate my last half bag of beef jerky for breakfast fuel, and started suiting up. The moment I zipped up that black nanofluid suit, oh man, it contracted around my body like a second skin, hugging every muscle perfectly. Zero discomfort. Pure sci-fi. Oxygen tank on back. Tactical headlamp on. Motorized flippers on feet. Full. Combat. Diver. I stood on the edge of my ship, staring down into the ink-black water below. The abyss stared back. Relax, Loof fan. No fighting. Search and extract. In and out. Easy. I adjusted the breathing valve, pulled down the goggles, and jumped. Splash. The expected bone-freezing cold? Didn't happen. The suit's temperature system kicked in instantly, locking my body heat inside. The crushing water pressure? Mostly absorbed by the suit. I felt like I'd leveled up from human to aquatic mammal. Hidden item quality is no joke. I clicked on the headlamp. A beam of brilliant white light stabbed through the darkness like a laser sword. The underwater world revealed itself. Floating garbage, murky particles, startled fish scattering in every direction. Didn't care about any of that. I activated the motorized flippers. Bzzz. A surge of thrust from my ankles, and I shot downward like a torpedo heading straight for the deep. Seconds later, I disappeared into the murk. And behind me, hiding in the shadow of a sunken billboard, something opened its eyes. 2 of them, full-sized, glowing and eerie, sinister red. It watched my white light beam descending into the abyss. Then, silently, its tentacles shifted, and it followed me down, 50 meters down. Dead silence except for my own breathing going hiss-ha through the valve and the occasional bubble going glub. My headlamp cut through the darkness, lighting up floating particles and drifting garbage. I was hovering over what used to be a city street, now just a trench buried under mud and seaweed. Fancy cars that once cost more than apartments were stacked sideways in piles, windows shattered, sea grass waving through the driver's seats like underwater curtains. Creepy? Yes, but manageable. Then a dark shape floated past me from the side. I whipped the light over. A body. Security guard uniform. Bloated white. When it rolled over, I saw that this dude only had a top half. Everything below the waist was just gone, ripped off by something with teeth. The ragged edges were trailing gray intestines that a swarm of tiny silver fish were having a buffet on. Okay, nope. Very creepy. Extremely creepy. Whatever did that was still nearby. I was suddenly very aware that I was a soft meat sack floating in the dark with a flashlight basically screaming, "Dinner is served." I gripped my crowbar tight and scanned everywhere. Nothing but ruins and blackness. But in the distance, half buried in mud, I could see it. A sign reading, Hongfa Hardware and Machinery Market. Jackpot location confirmed. Let's move fast. I adjusted my breathing and kicked toward the market entrance. Almost there. A chill shot up my spine like ice water injected directly into my nervous system. I spun around, crowbar up, lights sweeping wildly across the water behind me. Nothing. Just a couple startled fish darting under a car. Scared the hell out of me. I'm coming back later to catch you little punks and grill you. Check my oxygen gauge. No more wasting time. The market entrance had those metal roll-down security doors, locked tight, keyhole rusted solid. I jammed the flat end of my crowbar under the rubber seal at the bottom, planted my feet, and pulled. On land. That door would have popped open immediately. But 50 meters underwater, water pressure ate most of my strength. The door groaned, but didn't budge. If only I still had my machete. Rest in peace, old friend. I readjusted, used leverage physics, and started grinding the door open millimeter by millimeter. Every inch came with a horrible metal screeching sound. 10 minutes of this torture later, bang, the track warped, and the door finally gave me a gap just big enough to squeeze through. Quick time check, 20 minutes since I dove in. The oxygen tank only lasts 20 minutes to find parts, minus time to swim back up. So basically I have the time pressure of a guy defusing a bomb while also shopping at Home Depot. I sucked in a deep breath of O2 and slithered through the gap like an eel. Inside, total disaster zone. Shelves toppled everywhere, screws and washers scattered across the muddy floor. I went straight for the cabinets that were still standing, hands raking through oily, freezing water, fingers sliding across cold metal parts. And my luck was actually decent today. Found a sealed plastic box with a fine-grade high-pressure fuel injector inside. Then on a repair workbench in the corner, an unopened package of fine-grade sealed piston rings. Bit rusty from the soaking, but the workbench back on my ship only cares about grade, not cosmetic condition. Just need one more. The alloy crankshaft. I tore through every shelf, every drawer, every corner of that shop like a raccoon in a dumpster. Nothing. Rusty garbage everywhere, but zero crankshafts. Beep. Beep. Oxygen alarm. I checked the gauge. Remaining oxygen, 6 minutes. Are you kidding me? Already? Decision made. Take what I've got. Get out. Come back for the crankshaft later. Being greedy down here means staying down here permanently. I stuffed the parts in my waist pouch and kicked toward the gap in the roll-down door. Got halfway out and froze. 10 meters ahead. Floating in the murky water. A massive dark shape. Slowly drifting toward me. Looked like a great white shark? I killed my headlamp instantly. If I stayed dark and quiet, maybe I could sneak past. The thing's head rotated directly toward me. Two eyes lit up with glowing red light, locked onto my position like targeting lasers. So much for stealth. I flicked the headlamp back on to see what I was actually dealing with. The beam hit the creature full on. I nearly spat out my breathing regulator. What in the absolute hell is that thing? The top half was definitely a mutant shark. Gray-white skin, gills flared outward, covered in bony spikes. The bottom half was 8 fat octopus tentacles. Did an octopus cheat on its spouse with a shark? Did a shark have a midlife crisis and decide to try tentacles? What evolutionary algorithm produced this abomination? Was there no quality control on this mutation? Before I could finish mentally filing a complaint with Mother Nature, the thing got mad about my flashlight. Its dead fish red eyes locked on, and its throat vibrated at some insane frequency. Boom! A visible shockwave rippled through the water and hit me like a baseball bat to the skull. Eardrums screaming. Brain rattling. Instant vertigo. Sonic attack? This half-shark, half-octopus freak had sonic attack? I curled backward like a startled shrimp and dove back through the gap in the roll-down door. Wham! The entire door caved inward like aluminum foil. Rivets popped off and shot through the water like bullets. SCRECH, second hit, the door ripped apart. A shark head covered in bone spikes forced itself through the gap, jaws snapping wildly at the water, rows of teeth chomping at nothing like a broken garbage disposal. I rolled sideways underwater, barely dodged, and cranked the motorized flippers to maximum power. Shot deeper into the shop, zigzagging through the maze of fallen shelves. But this thing's tentacles had their own brains apparently. They grabbed shelves and hurled them aside like a toddler clearing toy blocks. Metal parts exploded everywhere like shrapnel. Beep, beep, beep. Warning, remaining oxygen, 1 minute. Great. Wonderful. Perfect timing. I aimed for the back window to escape, and, the flippers stuttered and died. Warning, motorized flippers overloaded. Entering cooldown mode. Are you serious right now? speed gone, oxygen gone, and behind me, a tidal wave of water rushing forward because a shark octopus was charging at me with its mouth wide open. I tried to swim. Too slow. It bit down on my left thigh. The stab-resistant dive suit against this thing's teeth? Tissue paper. The fangs punched straight through and sank deep into my muscle. Blood erupted into the water in a red cloud. AGH. Pain like nothing I've ever felt. My whole body seized up. But I wasn't giving up. I swung the crowbar with everything I had, aiming straight for its eyeball. Clang. Clang. Its eyelids had bone armor, a transparent protective membrane harder than steel. The crowbar bounced off like I'd hit a tank. The Sharktopus got angrier. It started thrashing its head side to side, trying to rip my entire leg off like a drumstick. 3 tentacles whipped around and coiled tight around my waist and both arms. Squeezing. Tighter. Tighter. Oxygen, 0. Vision, going black. Bones, making sounds bones should never make. Death was literally measuring me for a coffin. I messed up. Then, the 3 blue-green scale marks on my neck that I'd been ignoring since this morning, they suddenly went supernova. Burning heat shot from my neck through my entire body. Boom. A ring of brilliant teal light exploded outward from my body like a bomb going off. The Sharktopus, this several-ton nightmare that had been ragdolling me like a chew toy, got launched 5 meters backward and slammed into the wall. I collapsed into the mud, clutching my shredded thigh, gasping. I looked up. Floating in front of me was a human-shaped figure made entirely of swirling teal light particles. Couldn't see the face, but the silhouette, tall, curvy, unmistakably feminine. Mystery Slap Lady was back. The Sharktopus shook off the hit, saw that its meal had been stolen, and went absolutely berserk. Its gray skin flushed blood red. Its body inflated to twice the size like a nightmare balloon animal. Every bone spike on its back stood straight up. Full rage mode. Phase 2. Boss music playing. This thing could have made a T-Rex think twice about fighting. The teal light figure barely glanced at it, just tilted her head slightly. And in a voice dripping with so much royal contempt it could have frozen the entire ocean. A bottom feeder that hasn't even learned to take human form. How dare you act up in front of this one? The teal lady raised one finger. Just one. Didn't even make a fist. She pointed. No sound. No dramatic build-up. Just a fan-shaped wave of pure teal energy that spread outward from her fingertip and lit up the entire ocean floor like someone flipped on God's desk lamp. Up on the surface, things got interesting for some people. Chunzhe and Chu Xian were paddling their little inflatable raft. You know, the one he murdered a family for, when Auntie started screaming from the back. Ghosts. Ghosts in the water. The ocean underneath them was glowing neon green like a radioactive swimming pool. Then a shockwave from below launched their raft into the air like a pancake on a frying pan. Grab the rope. Don't let go. Chunzhe was screaming, soaking wet, clinging to the raft. Chu Xian had her eyes shut and her nails buried so deep in Chunzhe's arm, she probably hit bone. Auntie and the poodle launched clean off the raft, straight into the ocean. Bye-bye. Karma doesn't always come slow, folks. Sometimes it comes as a teal-colored shockwave from a sea goddess having a bad day. 300 kilometers away at West Huan Mountain Base, alarm sirens were going insane. Sir, detecting an ultra-high energy spike from V-City's West District. Earthquake? Negative. Pure energy burst. Values increasing exponentially. Model predicts a civilization-ending tsunami hitting West Huan Mountain in 3 minutes. The base commander grabbed the red emergency phone so hard, he almost crushed it. First level alert. Floodgates up. Everyone into bunkers. Move. A base 300 kilometers away was about to get wiped off the map from the splash damage of one finger point. Meanwhile, some rich dude named Song Han was standing in the top floor of the Song Entertainment Building, watching the teal glow through floor-to-ceiling windows like he was watching the end of the world on IMAX. His elderly butler, young Master Song, perhaps step away from the glass? This building may not survive. Song Han didn't move. Adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses. Tell everyone to move to the building core. Abandon all outer supplies. If that wave actually hits us, everyone in this building, including me, should prepare to not leave a body behind. Then, a column of teal water shot up from the ocean surface. Straight up, 100 meters into the sky, punching through clouds. The entire city's foundation was shaking. A whirlpool hundreds of meters wide formed on the surface, spinning like a giant drain, ready to erase V City from existence. And then, it stopped. Everything stopped. The whirlpool flattened. The 100-meter wave didn't crash down. It dissolved into gentle rain. The clouds parted. A rainbow appeared. Peace. Like nothing had happened. She'd pulled her punch. Whatever that woman was, she'd decided not to delete the entire city today. Down at the bottom of the ocean, I was floating inside a teal protective bubble, brain completely empty. I looked around. The hardware market was gone. Not destroyed, erased. Foundation, steel beams, all the merchandise, every single bolt and screw, vaporized. Just a perfectly smooth crater in the ocean floor, polished like a mirror. The Phase 2 Rage Mode shark octopus that had been chewing on my leg. Not even a molecule left. Just a faint pink mist dissolving into the current. I swallowed hard. A Hollywood special effects team with a billion-dollar budget couldn't have done this. This was beyond sci-fi. This was close the book and question reality territory. The teal glow dimmed. The blurry figure walked up to me. Still couldn't see her face, but the pressure radiating off her made my survival instincts scream, "Don't speak, don't move, don't breathe. You imbecile." Her voice was pure fury wrapped in divine echo. She raised her hand like she was going to slap me again, then stopped, grabbed my chin with an ice-cold phantom hand, and yanked my face toward hers. Those empty, glowing eyes were staring into my soul with enough hatred to melt steel. "You wasted one of my protection scales on a guppy. 8 lifetimes of bad luck to be bound to trash like you. Cherish your life. If your death damages my essence, I will personally tear your soul into confetti. No reincarnation. No afterlife. Eternal nothingness. Do you understand? You worthless insect." My heart literally stopped beating for a second. All I could do was nod like a bobblehead in an earthquake. She scoffed, like even looking at me was beneath her, and dissolved into sparkling teal dust. The protective bubble popped. Freezing water rushed in. My oxygen tank was bone dry. I was about to panic about my mangled leg when I kicked and felt nothing. No pain. I looked down. The dive suit had a huge hole in the thigh, but the skin underneath? Smooth. Perfect. Not even a scar. Like nothing had ever touched it. She healed me while calling me trash. What a woman. No time to process feelings. Flippers were cooled down and ready. I rocketed toward the surface, broke through gasping, grabbed my ship's edge, and flopped onto the deck like a landed fish. I lay there staring at the rainbow overhead, breathing like I'd run 10 marathons, body trembling from head to toe. What was she? One finger. One finger deleted an entire building, a mutant boss monster, and almost created a tsunami that would have reached a base 300 kilometers away. She chose to stop at the last second. If she hadn't, V-City would be a memory. I touched my neck. 2 scales left. The bottom one was gone, just a faint red mark where it used to be. So those were 3 extra lives. And I just burned one on a fish fight. I felt a mix of gratitude for surviving and absolute agony at wasting such a precious cheat code. Changed out of the damaged dive suit, laid it out to recharge oxygen, put on dry clothes, and pulled out my hard-earned loot from the waist pouch. Fine-grade high-pressure fuel injector. Check. Fine-grade sealed piston ring set. Check. I held up one finger and sighed the deepest sigh of my entire life. Still missing one crankshaft. And the only hardware store that had one just got vaporized by my angry landlord/protector/face slapper. It was like pulling your pants down and discovering there's only half a sheet of toilet paper. While I sat there staring at these parts and contemplating screaming into the void. A splashing sound. Getting closer. I snapped to attention. A black kayak was heading my way. 2 big guys in tactical vests, carrying homemade spears and watermelon machetes. Those faces did not look friendly. The kayak got close enough for me to hear their charming conversation. Beard guy in the back was eyeing my ship like it personally insulted him. Song guy must be losing it. This dinky little boat doesn't even move. What's so special about this loser? Baldy up front was grinning at my iron railings like a thief window shopping. We knock the guy out, bring him back to the boss alive. But the supplies on this boat? We keep those for ourselves. Song whatever is too rich to care about this junk anyway. Just don't kill the kid. Boss wants him breathing. They climbed aboard MY ship like they owned the place. Looked around the deck with faces like they'd stepped in dog poop. This guy is broke. Nothing here except some iron plating. Total waste of a trip. Then Baldy spotted me sitting by the cabin door, still gasping for air from my underwater near-death experience. Itchy Y kid. He tilted his chin at me like I was a stray dog. Our young master song thinks you're worth talking to. Wants you to come visit. But first, hand over everything you're hiding. Especially food. If I find you kept anything back, I'm breaking your legs. I leaned against the doorframe, chest still heaving. Oxygen deprivation from the deep dive was messing me up bad. I'd been topside for several minutes and still couldn't think straight. I looked at these two idiots through half-closed eyes. Said nothing. You deaf? I'm talking to you. Beard guy stomped toward me. Look at this half-dead loser. Probably so scared he can't speak. Whatever, I'll just search him myself. He reached for my collar. Bang. One gunshot. No warning. No dramatic speech. No countdown. A new hole appeared in Beard Guy's forehead. Red and white stuff sprayed all over Baldy's face. The body wobbled twice and toppled into the ocean. Baldy's brain blue-screened. This was supposed to be a lawful society. Why does this guy have a gun? Is he a cop? But that draw speed. He didn't even see it happen. His tough guy face melted into pure terror in about half a second. Don't kill me. His knees hit the iron deck so hard I heard the clang. His machete clattered to the floor. He was kowtowing with brain matter still dripping down his face. Big brother. Misunderstanding. This is a huge misunderstanding. I walked over, pressed the gun barrel against his sweaty bald scalp. Who sent you? What do you want? Young master song. From that building. He pointed at the Song Entertainment Tower with a shaking finger, words firing like a machine gun. He saw the tsunami and was worried about you. Sent us to help you. Rescue mission. Pure kindness. Nobody wants to hurt you. Rescue mission? 3 minutes ago you were planning to steal my stuff and knock me unconscious. Now it's a rescue? I glanced across the water at the Song building's top floor. Even from this distance, I could feel someone watching me through binoculars. Be big brother. I'm just the errand boy. You're a generous man. Let me go. I'll never bother you again. Okay. I moved the gun away from his head. Relief flooded his face. He thought he'd survived. My left hand flipped. The hexagonal carbon steel crowbar materialized from thin air. Crack. Right on top of his skull. The bone-crunching sound was immediate. His eyeballs bulged out of their sockets, body went stiff as a board, and he dropped face first without making a sound. I kicked the body overboard. Let you go so you can report back? Do I look stupid? For bullets left. But shooting one guy and crowbar NG the other sent a very clear message to whoever was watching from that fancy building. The guy on this little boat has a gun, zero hesitation, and absolutely no interest in making friends. Anyone with half a brain would think twice before sending more people. I was completely spent. The dive, the sharktopus, the goddess face slap, the oxygen deprivation, my body was running on fumes. I walked back into the cabin and shut the heavy wooden door. Sleep. Now. Before I actually collapse. Over at the Song Entertainment penthouse, young Master Song lowered his binoculars. Interesting. He adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses. One headshot, then a cold weapon execution. This person is dangerous. His elderly butler bowed slightly. Young master, shall I go personally? Song Han paused. Waved his hand. No rush. We're not bandits. No need to provoke him right now. He gestured toward the ocean where the teal light show had just happened. That bizarre tsunami just passed. We don't know if the shark octopus is still alive out there. This guy survived that blast zone, meaning he's either extremely skilled or extremely lucky. Either way, he makes excellent bait. He straightened his suit. Uncle Zhong, have the manager re-inventory our supplies. Keep distributing to survivors on schedule. Give Miss Shun extra rations. She'll be useful later. And if anyone causes trouble, make a public example. Cool smile. Shoulder pat. The Song family rescue ship from West Huan Mountain needs time to arrive. We must be prepared for the long game. I don't want to see any unnecessary waste. As you wish, young master. So the rich kid was playing chess while I was playing whack-a-mole with sea monsters. Good to know there was another power player in the neighborhood. But right now? Right now the only thing I was playing was sleep. I woke up a few hours later feeling like a brand new person. Deep sleep on a wooden plank never felt so luxurious. The body aches were mostly gone. My stomach, however, had filed a formal complaint. It was growling louder than that shark octopus. I'm starving. 3 days of surviving on beef jerky scraps and 1 bag of spicy sticks had cost me about 10 pounds. My stomach was so flat it was concave. Checked the window. Early afternoon, maybe 1 or 2 o'clock. Still had time before tonight's guaranteed thunderstorm to fish up some real food. Desperately needed carbs. Trying to sleep hungry is basically torture. I chugged some filtered water, still the most satisfying beverage on planet Earth, grabbed my rod, set up my little folding stool on deck, and cast into the water. Sea breeze blowing, sun shining. If you cropped out all the submerged ruins, this could almost pass for a vacation. While I was zoning out watching my float, something gray-white came bobbing through the waves toward my ship. Shaped like a person. Didn't even flinch. At this point, I'd seen more floating corpses than living humans. This was just Tuesday, but when it drifted close enough for me to see the bloated, waterlogged face, I paused. Even swollen and distorted, I recognized that face instantly. The sour, bitter, permanently disgusted expression that even death couldn't fix. Chu Xian's auntie? I raised an eyebrow. Genuinely surprised. How'd she float all the way here? Fengjiang Gardens is like 5 kilometers away. Did they actually leave the apartment? I stood up and scanned the ocean. Nothing. No boats, no rafts, no people. Just water and building skeletons. So how'd the old bat die? Body looked intact. No bite marks, no missing pieces. Probably just drowned. The current pushed her right into my hull with a satisfying bonk. Her dead fish eyes lined up perfectly with mine, staring straight up at me. Real horror movie energy. TCH. Bad luck? I grabbed my wooden paddle and jabbed her bloated corpse away from my ship. Pop off she went, drifting into the distance. Last life, you stood on that boat watching me get fed to sharks. This life, enjoy the taste of seawater yourself. I sat back on my stool and went back to watching my float. To me, one dead enemy was worth less than 1 piece of fished-up garbage. At least garbage I could use. Meanwhile, a few kilometers away, the drama was unfolding. Chu Xian was soaking wet on their sad little yellow inflatable raft, clutching the shivering poodle, crying her eyes out. Why didn't you save her? All you had to do was reach. One hand, one paddle. She would have been fine. She raised me. She was like my real mother. Wah! Chunzhe slammed his paddle into the water. You think I didn't want to? Did you see that wave? She fell off, and instead of grabbing the rope like a normal person, she held the dog above her head and screamed, "Save the dog first." He pointed at the trembling poodle in Chu Xian's arms, veins popping. I have never met anyone that stupid. She chose a dog over her own life. The dog got on the raft. She had no strength left, and that's my fault. In her eyes, that mutt was more important than you, more important than me, more important than her own heartbeat. Chu Xian opened her mouth to argue, and couldn't, because he was right. Auntie's first instinct when she fell in the water was literally to hold the poodle above her head. Auntie, why would you do that? She buried her face in the dog's fur and sobbed. What she didn't know, what she'd never know, was that Chunzhe absolutely could have grabbed Annie's hand. He chose not to. The old woman had been annoying him since they boarded. Complaining about space, complaining about the rocking, ordering him to prioritize the dog. Deadweight. Liability. Resource drain. She loved that dog more than life. Fine. He let her prove it. He took a deep breath, switched off the cold-blooded killer face, and put on his exhausted but caring boyfriend mask. Patted her shoulder gently. Stop crying, babe. Tears won't bring her back. Look, that huge wave was terrible, but it pushed us close to the dock. That's fate. Good and bad come together. Annie sacrificed herself so we could live. Once we find the yacht with food and clean water, we'll live like humans again. Then we can properly honor her memory. Okay, Chu Xian looked up with her tear-soaked face, sniffled, nodded, and leaned into his chest. I'm sorry for being difficult, Zay. It's okay, babe. Let's keep going. The yacht should be nearby. What a performance. Standing ovation. Oscar-worthy. The man murdered her uncle, let her aunt drown, and was now being thanked for it while getting cuddled. These two truly deserved each other in the most cosmically poetic way possible. 5 more hours of fishing. Sky getting dark. Last cast of the day. The hook flew up trailing green light and landed on deck carrying a black gift box with gold lettering. Fishing successful. Obtained. Premium A5 Wagyu Barbecue Set ×1. Rarity. Fine grade. Description. Hand-selected top-tier A5 marbled Wagyu beef. Gift box includes side dishes and utensils, a disposable self-heating grill, Himalayan pink salt, black pepper, and special dipping sauce. I stared at the picture on the box. That glistening, ruby-red slab of meat. My brain shut down. My mouth started producing water faster than my purifier. Meat. That's meat. This is real. I snatched the box and sprinted into the cabin just as rain started spitting. Perfect timing. The universe finally decided to be nice to me for 5 consecutive minutes. Today's 9 casts weren't bad overall. Besides the Wagyu, I pulled 2 cans of ice-cold Coca-Cola and a pack of candles. The rest was basic junk, but who cares because I had A5 Wagyu. Time for the most ridiculous meal in apocalypse history. I cleared the workbench, shoved all the engine parts aside, and set up the self-heating grill in the center. Ripped open the packaging. 2 palm-sized cuts of ribeye, almost 2 centimeters thick, sitting on the plate like edible jewels. The marbling was so perfect it looked like someone had painted white rivers through red marble. When I pressed my finger on it, the fat started melting from body heat alone. Next to them, cleaned asparagus and king mushrooms. This moment demands ceremony. I pulled from my spatial ring 1 can of ice-cold Coke, fished up this afternoon, and the pack of white candles. Click. Windproof lighter. Single candle. The warm yellow flame danced in the sealed cabin, reflecting off the rain-streaked windows. Ambience achieved. I lit the quick-burn charcoal under the grill. Heat started radiating within seconds. Picked up a pat of butter with the tongs and rubbed it across the grill plate. Sizzes. Butter melted. The smell of rich, creamy, golden butter detonated in the tiny cabin like a flavor bomb. That's the stuff. Hands trembling with anticipation, I lifted the Wagyu with surgical precision and laid it on the hot grill. Sitzlasla. The sound. The sound. Fat hitting scorching metal. White smoke billowing up. The aggressive, intoxicating aroma of premium beef mixed with charcoal smokiness filled my nose, my lungs, my entire being. Stay calm. It's not ready yet. Control yourself, LU fan. My throat was bobbing like a piston. I watched the surface of the meat bead up with golden fat droplets. Watched them sizzle and pop. Watched the color slowly shift to a gorgeous caramel brown. I laid the asparagus and mushrooms next to the steak. They soaked up the rendered beef fat and started glistening like they'd been professionally styled for a food magazine. PSSSHK. Cracked open the Coke. The fizz echoed through the silent cabin like champagne at a wedding. The second this meat is done, I'm going to. Meanwhile, at Song Entertainment Tower, young Master Song was having his dinner. His butler served a tray with great ceremony. Sliced can luncheon meat, 2 slightly stale bread slices, and half a glass of red wine that had been open way too long. Quite the feast tonight, Uncle Zhong, Song Han said with his usual composure, picking up a knife and fork like he was at a 5-star restaurant. Then he noticed the butler was only eating a single chocolate bar. You gave me your portion again, didn't you? Old man's stomach can't handle meat. This chocolate bar has plenty of calories. Song Han smiled, slid 2 energy bars across the table. Eat. I need you alert to manage several hundred people. They ate in dim emergency lighting, discussing me. That kid on the boat, what's your assessment? Is he useful? Strange fellow. I watched him through binoculars all afternoon. He sat there casting his fishing rod for hours, pulling up nothing but ocean garbage. Uncle Zhong nodded thoughtfully. A bizarre tsunami nearly destroys the city, and this kid's response is to sit on his boat and fish for trash. That kind of composure is genuinely terrifying. True, but he just went inside his cabin. The windows are all fogged up now, can't see what he's doing. It's raining, getting cold. He's probably just sleeping. Poor guy. Alone on the ocean, no food, no water. What else would he do? Song Han elegantly forked a slice of canned meat into his mouth. Honestly, if someone gave him a bite of luncheon meat right now, he'd probably lose his mind with happiness. Oh, young Master Song. Oh, Uncle Zhong. If only you knew. Back in my cabin, the temperature had climbed past 20 degrees. The windows were completely fogged over, a solid white wall of condensation sealing me inside my own private steakhouse. The Wagyu was perfect. Both sides golden brown with a crust, center still blushing pink. Fat dripping onto the coals, sending up little flares of smoky, meaty incense. My eyes were literally glowing from the reflected fire. I stabbed the fork into the steak, picked up the knife, lined up the cut, then threw the knife across the room. Cut. Who am I? The Queen of England. I lifted the entire slab of Wagyu on the fork like a caveman holding a torch and bit into it. Explosion. Juice. Fat. Heat. Black pepper kick. Buttery, beefy, almost sweet richness flooding every corner of my mouth. The outside was crispy and caramelized. The inside was so tender it basically melted, like biting into hot silk. Zero chewing required. It just slid down my throat. Holy sh! I sucked air through my teeth because it was scalding, but I would rather die than spit it out. Mouth full, oil running down my chin. I screamed through the meat. Incredible. I licked the thick layer of beef fat off my lips. Every pore on my body contracted from sheer pleasure. Grabbed the ice-cold Coke. Threw my head back. Glug, 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 glug. Freezing carbonation cutting through the rich, hot, meaty aftermath like a cleansing waterfall for my soul. Burp. A belch so powerful it could have registered on Songhan's monitoring equipment. This is the greatest moment of my entire life, including the previous one. All dignity, gone. All table manners, never existed. I crammed a fat-soaked mushroom in my mouth, crunched through a charred asparagus spear, then tore off another massive chunk of Wagyu and chewed with my eyes rolled back. Outside, pitch-black apocalypse rang. Endless flooded hellscape. Millions dead or dying. Inside this tiny wooden box drifting on the ocean. Candlelight, sizzling A5 Wagyu, ice-cold cola, and a man making sounds that would concern his neighbors if he had any. Morning after another storm. Somewhere on a broken building ledge, Chunze and Chu Xian were having their best day yet. The yacht, the one Chunze murdered an entire family and his girlfriend's uncle for, was gone. Vanished. Probably sunk during the Teal Goddess's light show. Chunze was staring at a concrete slab, muttering like a broken robot. Gone. The yacht is gone. Chu Xian snapped. This is your fault. If I hadn't listened to you, Uncle and Auntie would still be alive. We wouldn't be stuck in this. My fault? Chunze jumped up. Your whole family is insane. That wave hit, and instead of grabbing the handle, you grabbed my arm. You knocked the entire backpack of food into the water. You idiot. Don't yell at me. Lu Fan never even raised his voice at me. Who do you think you are, Lu Fan? She said my name. Again. Slap. Chunze backhanded her across the face, then grabbed her throat and pinned her against the wall. Lu Fan, Lu Fan, Lu Fan. That's all you ever say? I did everything for you, and this is what I get. Sorry. I was wrong. The poodle. Yes, the poodle, the one that started this whole chain of stupidity, bit Chunze's leg. He grabbed it by the scruff and slammed it into the ground like a wet towel. Dead. Instantly. Auntie gave her life for this dog. Uncle was murdered partly because of this dog. And now the dog was dead too. The entire family sacrifice tree ended with a splat on concrete. Chu Xian stared at the motionless fur ball and started crying. And for the first time, I think she actually had a real thought. What if I'd stayed with Lu Fan? What if I'd stayed with the boring, poor, gentle man who treated me like treasure? Would I be somewhere warm right now? Eating hot food? Yes, Chu Xian. Yes, you would. You'd be eating A5 Wagyu by candlelight. But you chose the exciting knife-wielding psychopath instead. Choices have consequences. Chunze didn't care about her tears. He grabbed the dead dog and started skinning it with her eyebrow scissors. What are you doing? Surviving. Shut up and listen. Go find that half-empty water bottle I saw stuck in the rubble. There's a broken chair next door. Firewood. This dog is one meal. After we eat, we head for the Song Entertainment Building. Some radio broadcast said they have supplies. Dog meat dinner in a ruin versus Wagyu steakhouse in a private cabin. Life really does reward loyalty, huh? Back on my ship, I woke up licking my lips. Still tasted Wagyu grease from last night. My tongue could retire happy. Now that's what I call living. Good mood lasted about 3 seconds until I saw those engine parts sitting there like a half-finished puzzle. Fuel injector, got it. Piston rings, got it. Alloy crankshaft, still missing. And the only hardware store that had one was now a mirror-smooth crater at the bottom of the ocean. While I was kicking the dead engine and moping, I spotted something through the window. A small black dot on the water, heading my way. Are you kidding me? Song's people again. I walked outside ready for round 2, but this time it was just one tiny wooden boat with a skinny old man in a traditional Chinese suit, casually rowing toward me like he was on a Sunday stroll. They sent a grandpa to fight me? Really? I summoned the crowbar ready. The old man stopped 5 meters away. I am Zhongjiang, servant to young Master Song. My master extends an invitation to discuss matters at the Song building. I leaned on the railing, spinning my crowbar. Hard pass. That creep on the roof spent all night watching me through binoculars. I don't swing that way. The old man's polite smile froze. Then his boat dipped, and he launched himself through the air like a martial arts movie and landed on my deck, perfectly balanced. Did you just do a flying crane kick onto my ship? Kung Fu Grandpa. Every muscle in my body went tight. This old dude was in a completely different league from those two thugs yesterday. He studied my stance with his hands behind his back and shook his head. Decent reflexes. Upper body strength is acceptable, but your lower body stance is sloppy. Any fighter who targets legs would cripple you in seconds. Being critiqued by a man who could clearly kill me was not fun. Enough talk. I started to switch the crowbar for my gun in my spatial ring. But before my brain even finished the command, whoosh. He was eyeing my face. Those bony old hands clamped my wrist like iron pliers. One twist, one press downward. Ow, ow, ow. I surrender. Half my body went numb. I was pinned against the railing like a butterfly on a board. This walking skeleton had the grip strength of a hydraulic press. He let go, stepped back, dusted his sleeves. I don't know what weapon you were about to produce, but I strongly advise against it. If I'd intended to kill you, your throat would already be crushed. I believed him. Within arm's reach, my magic gun trick was useless against someone this fast. He cleared his throat. I come with no hostile intent. Young Master Song proposes a trade. Trade? I'm broke. You want my half bottle of water. My master has no need for supplies. What he values is your skill. Specifically, the ability to survive that tsunami. He wishes to recruit you. I went quiet. Recruit me? In early Apocalypse, every faction was desperate for capable people. This old man could have killed me, but chose to show restraint. That showed genuine sincerity. And more importantly, the Song Entertainment Building was a massive corporate complex. A place like that almost certainly had backup generators, machinery, maintenance equipment, maybe even an alloy crankshaft. Why wander the ocean searching blindly when I could walk right into the dragon's treasure room? Worst case, negotiations fail. As long as I avoided getting within arm's reach of Kung Fu Grandpa, I could escape. Deal. I held up 2 fingers. But I have 2 conditions. I stood on my deck and laid out my terms. First, anyone touches my boat, I kill them. Second, if negotiations fail, don't try to keep me. Because I'm a very nervous person, and when I get scared, I pointed at the top floor of the Song building. I tend to take people with me. Specifically, your young Master Song. The old man studied me with those cloudy eyes for a few seconds, then nodded. Deal. The little boat carried us to a gap on the 25th floor of the Song building. The second I stepped inside, I was hit with something I hadn't felt in days, dry air. Actual dry, non-salty, non-ocean-flavored air. Welcome, honored guest. Distinguished visitor, a middle-aged dude in a suit 2 sizes too tight, came scurrying over like a golden retriever greeting its owner. Pencil mustache, beady little eyes scanning me up and down. Name's Zhao, general manager of Song Group. Since young Master Song personally invited you, allow me to be your humble guide. Manager Zhao yacked the entire way up the stairs. This building used to have a shopping mall at the bottom. Baihui supermarket, Diarma outdoor club, everything. Young Master Song is a genius. He had people move all the supplies upstairs before the flooding. Generators, water purification tablets, survival gear. We've got it all. I kept quiet and observed. This building was legit impressive. The internal support columns were massive. Every floor was clean and organized. No human waste smell. No rotting corpse stench. 1,000% better than Peng's horror tower. On the 40th floor, a functioning living quarters. Dozens of survivors actually working. Chopping furniture for fuel, patching clothes, filtering rainwater. They looked thin, but not hopeless. All thanks to young Master Song's leadership, Zhao was dripping with worship. He established a work more, earn more system in just days. Everyone works hard so they can go to. Ahem. Uncle Zhong coughed loudly from ahead. Zhao nearly jumped out of his skin and shut up instantly. Go where? Interesting. So Song's people had a destination plan too. Filed that away for later. 50th floor. VIP meeting room. Heavy mahogany door opened to reveal Persian carpets, floor-to-ceiling windows, and 2 people at a dining table. The man, Sharp, blue-black suit, gold-rimmed glasses, elegant composure. Song Han himself. The woman, big wavy hair, skin-tight dress, curves that could stop traffic. Beautiful face currently wearing an expression of pure, "I'm better than everyone in this room. Please, sit." Song Han didn't stand, just gestured at a chair. "I'm Song Han, and this is Miss Shin Qingyue, famous actress of Long Nation." "I'm sure she needs no introduction." Shin Qingyue flicked her hair and tilted her chin up, waiting for me to gasp in starstruck awe. I sat down, crossed my legs, and squinted at her. "Who? Never heard of her." Slam. Her palm hit the table so hard the silverware jumped. "Excuse me? My face is on the LED billboard in City Center. Have you never watched television in your life?" I tilted my head, stared at her reddening face for 3 full seconds, then smacked my fist into my palm. "Oh wait, you're that actress. I remember now," she huffed triumphantly. "Obviously, there's nobody in this entire country who doesn't know. Yeah, late at night, alone in my room. I definitely committed some sins looking at you." I grinned. Full teeth. Maximum implications. The air froze solid. You disgusting animal." Her face went from pink to tomato to nuclear. She was pointing at me, shaking, unable to form a complete sentence. Vulgar. Repulsive. Degenerate. I ignored her completely and turned to Song Han with a stone-cold expression. "Skip the pleasantries, Song. I'm a simple man. Let's talk business." Song Han pushed up his glasses without even a flicker of emotion. "Miss Shun, sit." Composure. One sentence and she deflated like a punctured balloon, plopping back in her seat fuming. He clapped twice. An assistant brought in food trays, 4 plates, each with 2 thick slices of premium luncheon meat and 2 pieces of soft bread. "Apologies for the humble spread. You've been at sea. Please eat while we talk." I looked at the plate. Honestly, Spam and bread as a business meeting appetizer in the apocalypse was genuinely generous. "Oomph." Country bumpkin. Shin Qingyue elegantly forked a piece of meat, eyeing me with contempt. "This is Spam Premium. You've probably never eaten anything this good in your life." Young Master Song is being gracious. "Say thank you." I stared at her like she'd grown a second head. "You're having an orgasm over canned meat? Have you never seen real food before?" Then I reached behind my back and, out of the spatial ring, produced an ice-cold can of Coca-Cola, condensation dripping down the sides. Eating dry bread without a drink? What kind of cheap host serves food with no beverages? I had to bring my own. A little stingy for a big shot CO, no? Silence. Total silence. Shin Qingyue's fork clattered onto her plate. Her eyes were glued to that red can like it was the holy grail. "Cold. Coke. Ice. Cold. Coke." She'd begged Song Han for soda multiple times and been rejected because supplies were tight. And this random ocean hobo just casually pulled one out of nowhere? Even Song Han's poker face cracked. His eye twitched. He stared at my expression, the expression of a man who had plenty more where that came from, and for the first time, looked genuinely uncertain. Who was this guy? Ahem. Song Han inhaled deeply and forced a stiff smile. "My apologies for the oversight." He turned to Uncle Zhong at the door, voice tinged with physical pain. "Uncle Zhong, go get 3 cans of cola from storage. 3 cans from his precious reserves." That hurt, but you gotta spend money to make money. Uncle Zhong returned with the goods. Song Han gave one to Shin Qingyue, pushed one toward me, and was about to hand the last to Uncle Zhong. "Old bones can't handle carbonation. Causes osteoporosis. You drink it, young master." "I don't really like sweet drinks either." Song Han started reaching to take it back for storage when my hand shot across the table at light speed and snatched it. "Oh wow, Song, you're too kind." Before his frozen expression could even fully register, I'd cracked both cans open. "Since Grandpa doesn't want his, I'll take the burden. Can't waste it." Left hand, cola. Right hand, cola. Head back, chugging from both simultaneously. Viewererp. A thunderous belch echoed through the 50-story executive meeting room. "Oh, refreshing." I wiped my mouth with the back of my hand, forked a slab of Spam, and started chomping while talking with my mouth full. "Song, you're a real one. Now that I've eaten, let's get down to business." "Hey, got any more of those? Maybe 2 more cans?" Song Han's knuckles went white around his fork. His eye was twitching at a medically concerning frequency. This wasn't a negotiation. This was highway robbery. He watched me eat like a bandit raiding a village, took 3 long, deep, calming breaths, and swallowed the urge to smash his plate over my head. Let's discuss the actual business. There's something in these waters. You've seen it. Song Han got straight to the point. I forked another piece of spam into my mouth. Oh, the shark octopus? Yeah, I'm familiar. The room temperature dropped 10 degrees. Shen Qingyue's forehand trembled. Uncle Zhong's spine went ramrod straight. Even the air seemed to hold its breath. Song Han leaned forward. That supernatural event yesterday, the fact that you survived it. You must know what condition the creature is in now. I took a slow, dramatic sip of Coke, face grave. It's alive, but badly wounded. Hiding at the bottom of this sea zone, licking its wounds. Total lie. That thing was atomized into pink mist by my mystery goddess protector. Not even a cell survived. But Song Han didn't need to know that. I knew it. Song Han's shoulders actually relaxed. If it's wounded, it can be killed. I'll be honest, that creature has been blockading our waters. Killed several of our search teams. Since it's injured, I'd like to hire you to help us eliminate it. I raised my hand. Skip the emotional pitch. What do I get? Song Han smiled. He liked directness. Name your price. I'd prefer a long-term partnership. All the way to West Huan Mountain. West Huan Mountain again. Everyone and their grandma was trying to get there. I want an alloy crankshaft. Plus enough food and fresh water. Crankshaft? He blinked, then nodded. We have a dead diesel generator downstairs. It has one. Hard to extract, but doable. As for food and water, cooperate with me long-term, and you'll never go hungry again. Deal. Let's go kill a fish. I stood up, cracked my neck. Right now, Shen Qingyue's jaw dropped. Don't you need to? Digest? It's a half-dead fish. What's there to prepare for? Song Han's eyes flickered with respect. He turned to Uncle Zhong. Get him equipped and assign personnel. After we left, Shen Qingyue scoffed. He's probably a con artist. Eat our food, dive in the water, swim away. No, Song Han gazed out the window. If he could leave, he'd already be gone. He's staying for the crankshaft. And if he accepted the job, it means he thinks he can do it. 40th floor. Work zone. The second I walked in, every survivor stopped and stared. That's the shark killer? He's a twig. My arm is thicker than his whole body. He's basically a delivery meal for the monster. Real encouraging, folks. Thanks. Uncle Zhong clapped. A dozen guys lined up, the elite dive squad. Jacked, armed with sharpened rebar and spear guns. Ready for war. This is Mr. Liu, your mission commander. You follow his orders to hunt the shark octopus. I looked at this small army and immediately thought, absolutely not. If I brought 12 witnesses, how was I supposed to fake killing a monster that was already dead? Nope. Too many people. I pointed at the two most terrified, youngest-looking people hiding in the back corner. A trembling guy and a shaking girl. Big group draws attention. You two. Come with me. Everyone else stays. Uproar. Who does this punk think he is? That shark ripped our captain in half. You're taking 2 babies down there? Got a death wish? I glanced at the angry muscle man. Wow, big muscles and a small brain. It's called tactics. Look it up. Uncle Zhong shut it down before fists started flying. Mr. Liu is young Master Song's guest and the mission leader. His word is final. Zhou Sheng, Wang Ying, step forward. Everyone else, dismissed. 25th floor. Water entry zone. Moss on the walls. Ankle-deep water. Dark corridors leading into the ocean. I was checking the pressure gauge on a beat-up spear gun when I heard sniffling behind me. Zhou Sheng, the young guy, had completely broken down. Hugging his knees, sobbing. I saw that thing tear our captain in half. His guts were everywhere. There's 3 of us. We're going to die. Wang Ying was ghost white, tears streaming. I don't want to die. I really don't want to die. I looked at these 2 emotional wrecks and sighed. This psychological profile was exactly why I picked them. And now, phase 2 of my master plan. Enough. I slung the spear gun over my shoulder and adopted my most heroic posture. You two. Stay here. The crying stopped like someone hit a mute button. 2 wet, confused faces stared up at me. Stay? Here? But what about you? You're going alone? That's suicide. Someone has to go. I straightened my back, gazed into the dark water like a man who had made peace with death. If not me, then who? For humanity. For hope. For a chance that this cursed apocalypse might end someday. What's a little risk? I was glowing. Figuratively. The heroic aura coming off me could have powered a small generator. Zhou Sheng and Wang Ying were stunned. This man who'd seemed so rough and reckless was actually a selfless hero? shame, admiration. All their tears turned from fear to inspiration. Zhou wiped his nose and gritted his teeth. Lu bro, I'm scared, but I won't let you die alone. I'm coming. Me too. Wang Ying stood up, legs still shaking but eyes burning with resolve. Absolutely not, I barked, making them both flinch. I walked over and put a hand on each of their shoulders like a wise, battle-worn elder brother. You're so young. You have your whole lives ahead of you. This life or death stuff isn't for kids. But Lu bro, you're not that old either, Zhou mumbled. Ha ha ha. I threw my head back with a deep, world-weary laugh, staring at the ceiling with the eyes of a man who'd seen everything. Kid, you have no idea. I've traveled the north, conquered the south, napped on railroad tracks, drank water from gas station toilets. My life experiences are beyond your comprehension. Now SIT. Stay? Keep the oxygen tanks ready to receive me when I return. Before they could argue, I slapped on my breathing gear, turned around with maximum dramatic flair, and jumped. Splash. Lubro, they rushed to the water's edge, watching my light disappear into the deep, weeping like they'd just watched a soldier march towards certain death. Big brother, please come back alive. Underwater, hearing their heart-wrenching screams fading above, I shook my head. Young people are so easy to fool. I adjusted my oxygen valve and swam through some internal corridors toward the open ocean. The actual plan? Find a quiet, private spot. Burn through today's fishing quota, catch some loot, wait an appropriate amount of time, then swim back and collect my crankshaft reward for killing a monster that was already cosmic dust. Oscar-worthy performance? You're welcome. I surfaced behind the building, found a jutting air conditioning unit platform in the building's blind spot, and hauled myself up. A crooked billboard overhead blocked the view from above. Perfect hiding spot. This garbage wetsuit is freezing. My real dive suit is 100 times better. I wrung out my face and started planning my cover story. The shark octopus was cosmic dust, but if I went back empty-handed, Song Han would smell the lie immediately. Solution: fish for a few hours, then grab some random sea creature parts from the ocean floor, slash up my wetsuit to look battle-damaged, and walk back like a warrior returning from war. I'm a genius. I summoned the rod and started fishing. For hours later, up in Song's penthouse, Shen Xinghua was touching up her eyebrows in a compact mirror. It's been 4 hours. That country bumpkin is definitely dead. And you're still waiting like an idiot. Song Han stood at the window, swirling his wine glass, saying nothing. Uncle Zhong walked in. No word from Mr. Lu yet. He took 2 people and went down. Just 2? Song Han was confused. I told you. Shen Xinghua snorted. I'll talk. He's fish food by now. Song Han ignored her. Uncle Zhong, your assessment? The old man paused. I can't read him. But the confidence in his eyes before he left. That wasn't fake. He may have a hidden card. Let's hope so. Meanwhile, on my secret platform, I sneezed so hard my soul almost left my body. For hours. 8 casts. And my haul was 1 pack of crackers, 1 apple, and a pile of actual garbage. Not even proper garbage, sub-garbage. Stuff that didn't even qualify as basic tier items. My grand apocalypse empire was dying in the cradle. I can't keep living like this. I needed to upgrade the rod to level 2. Unlock stamina recovery, better loot pools, the works. At this rate, I was technologically indistinguishable from a caveman. Last cast. Please. I'm begging. Give me something good. I stared at the float like my life depended on it. Which, technically, it always did. The rod yanked downward. Finally, I braced. Check the glow. White. Not just white. The palest, most pathetic, washed-out white imaginable. I curse your great-grandmother's 7th cousin. Was my ancestor from the unluckiest village in Africa? I started reeling in, ready to receive another piece of literal ocean trash. But it felt different. Heavy. And it was fighting. Thrashing. Shaking its head. This was something alive. My interest spiked. I fought it for 5 or 6 minutes until the tension suddenly released. Splash. A pink-white, glowing orb burst from the water, arced through the air, and landed at my feet with a wet slap. I looked down and my brain stopped. It was a dolphin. A tiny, arm-length, pink dolphin. Its skin was a dreamy pinkish white, smooth as jade. And growing from the center of its round forehead was a tiny spiral horn. Like a unicorn. A dolphin unicorn. It stared up at me with enormous, watery, impossibly innocent eyes. Fishing successful. Obtained. Juvenile deep-sea dragon dolphin, evolvable, ×1, current rarity, basic. Potential, supernatural. Description, the pink ghost of the ocean. A born apex predator. Currently in juvenile stage. Its horn can pierce steel plates. Underwater top speed reaches 30 knots. Upon reaching adulthood, it will awaken its bloodline and gain the ability to control weather, becoming the absolute ruler of its waters. Did I just fish up a mythical beast? I crouched down and poked its forehead. First time I've actually caught a living creature. Wait, is this even a fish? This is probably an endangered species. Pre-apocalypse, catching this would have gotten me life in prison. The little dragon dolphin apparently loved me. It wriggled closer and started nuzzling my crotch with its smooth little snout, cold and warm at the same time. I froze, clamped my hands over my valuables, and shoved it away. Hey, are you a boy or a girl? You can't just go for that area. Boundaries. It pulled back, stunned. Those giant eyes instantly filled with tears. Its little mouth quivered. Pathetic whimpering sounds. This thing had the emotional resilience of a soap bubble. Fine, I'm sorry. My bad. I reached out and petted its smooth head. Instant emotional recovery. Tail spinning like a propeller, splashing water everywhere. 0 to euphoric in half a second. If you're staying with me, you need a name. Pink skin. Little horn. I thought for a moment. Xiaobai. Little white. In honor of my 9 consecutive white tear pulls today. A monument to my garbage luck. Xiaobai squeaked happily. Loved it. Then I had an idea. I pointed at the ocean below. Go catch me an octopus or a shark. Bring it back. Xiaobai blinked twice. Zoom. A pink lightning bolt shot into the water and vanished. Fast. Under 5 minutes later, the water erupted. Xiaobai rocketed out carrying an octopus the size of an adult human in its mouth, with a dead great white shark draped across its back like a towel. It dropped them at my feet and tilted its head up with the most, praise me, expression I've ever seen on any living creature. This dolphin that fit in my arms had just speed blitzed 2 apex predators simultaneously. The size difference was absurd. God-tier fishing rod really does produce God-tier products. Good boy. Or girl. Whatever you are. Excellent work. Maximum head rubs deployed. Xiaobai vibrated with joy. I grabbed a knife, cut off an octopus tentacle and a shark fin, my battle trophies, slashed the wetsuit in several places for dramatic effect, kicked the rest of the carcasses into the water. Eat the leftover meat if you want. Then go hide near my ship. Stay out of sight. Don't come out unless I call you. Xiaobai nuzzled my palm, grabbed the bodies, and disappeared into the deep. Back at the 25th floor entry point, Zhou Sheng and Wang Ying were huddled in the dark, lips blue, hugging oxygen tanks, completely destroyed. 4.5 hours, Zhou Sheng's voice cracked. The oxygen only lasts 40 minutes. Lu Bro is definitely. Shut up, Wang Ying snapped. Don't jinx it. He has a plan, but this is underwater. Nobody survives without air. He sacrificed himself for us. Wang Ying was crying too, but stood up, wiping her tears with furious determination. We're going upstairs. Getting Uncle Zhong, even if we're recovering a body. Lu Bro deserves to be found. Zhou Sheng nodded, standing. Let's go. They turned to leave. Gurgle, gurgle, gurgle. Violent bubbling behind them. What is that? Both spun around, spear guns aimed at the churning water, legs shaking. Had a monster gotten in? Splash. A black head burst through the surface, gasping. Don't shoot. It's me. 40th floor. The mood was toxic. People had been waiting over 4 hours. The consensus was clear. The 3 of us were dead. Those kids were only 18. That outsider got them killed. We should have never let a stranger lead. Let's go to Song. This can't stand. A mob was forming. Pitchforks and torches energy. Then the stairwell door opened, and Song Han walked in with Shun Qingyue and Uncle Zhong. Oh my god, it's Shin Qingyue. The goddess hasn't come downstairs in days. Shin Qingyue was fanning her nose like the common people smelled bad. Song, I told you. That bumpkin saw the monster, wet his pants, and swam away. Total loss. Song Han said nothing. But behind his back, his fists tightened. Was he wrong about me? Was I really just a con artist? Then, creak, the rusty back door pushed open. Total silence. I walked out of the darkness, soaking wet, wetsuit torn in multiple places, looking like I'd been through a washing machine full of knives. And behind me? Nobody. Just empty darkness. Huh. The bumpkin survived at least. Shin Xinghua crossed her arms, smirking. I ignored everyone, strolled to a corner, and sat down to rest. 3 seconds of dead silence. Then, where are the kids? The big muscle dude from earlier charged at me, finger in my face. You came back alone. You used them as bait and ran. Monster. He doesn't even have a scratch. He obviously hid while they died. The crowd went feral. Muscle Guy grabbed my collar with one hand and cocked back a fist the size of a cantaloupe. You selfish piece of garbage. Everyone trusted you, and you got our people killed. I'll make you pay. Uncle Zhong started to intervene, but Song Han stopped him. Looked at me with disappointment. Let it go. Apparently, I misjudged. The fist was coming down, bang. The back door slammed open again. We're back. Everyone froze. Zhou Sheng and Wang Ying burst through the doorway, absolutely covered in mud and water, each carrying something bloody and enormous on their shoulders. Zhou Sheng saw Muscle Guy about to punch me, dropped his payload on the floor with a wet thud, and screamed, "Stop! Why are you hitting my Lubro?" Muscle Guy's fist hung in midair. He let go of my collar and stared at the floor. I straightened my shirt, stood up casually, and pointed at the massive suckered tentacle on the ground. That's an octopus leg. Then I pointed at the mangled shark fin next to it. And that is you. Muscle Guy blinked. Pointed at himself. That's me. I nodded with absolute sincerity. Yeah, a shark arm. That's literally what you are. Puffed. Someone in the crowd couldn't hold it. Shark arm equals shabai equals a very rude insult in Chinese. I am a master of wordplay. Muscle Guy's face turned the color of a cooked lobster. His fists were shaking. But with 2 chunks of dead sea monster at his feet, he didn't dare make a sound. You don't pick fights with a guy who solo kills monsters. Basic survival math. Uncle Zhong knelt beside the remains, examined the flesh, sniffed the blood. This tissue is extraordinarily tough, with a predatory energy. Matches the shark octopus characteristics perfectly. Young master, this is genuine. The room exploded. He actually killed it. Impossible. Is he even human? Cheering drowned out all the earlier trash talk. Shen Xinghua's perfectly painted eyes went saucer-wide. She stared at me like I'd just performed actual magic. This ordinary-looking man. Solo killed that thing? Was he pretending to be weak this entire time? I cleared my throat, put my hands on Zhou Sheng and Wang Ying's shoulders, and gestured for quiet. Honestly, I just got lucky. If these two hadn't risked their lives to distract the monster and create an opening for me, I never would have landed the killing blow. Zhou Sheng and Wang Ying's brains short-circuited simultaneously. What are you talking about, big bro? We spent 4.5 hours shivering in a hallway crying our eyes out. We didn't do anything. They opened their mouths to correct me, but the dive team swarmed them instantly. Heroes. True warriors of the dive squad. Little Zhou, I always knew you had it in you. Wang Ying. Sorry I was rude before. You're a legend. I watched them get carried away on a wave of unearned glory and nodded with satisfaction. On someone else's turf, being the center of attention is dangerous. Let the kids have the spotlight. I only wanted the loot. Upstairs. Reward time. A full case of mineral water and over a dozen cans of meat, neatly arranged on the table. Your compensation, Mr. Liu? I glanced at it. Where's my crankshaft? Song Han put on his apologetic face. That diesel generator is structurally complex. We need specialized tools and time. Perhaps. One more night. Before I could object, he clapped his hands. The door opened. 4 women walked in. Skimpy outfits. Killer figures. Each carrying massage equipment. Eyes that said, whatever you want, sir. These ladies are former VIP spa therapists from premium clubs. Top-tier technique. Song Han gave me a knowing smile. Please relax here tonight. Tomorrow morning, crankshaft, delivered personally. I looked at these 4 beauties and laughed inside. Sly Fox. This wasn't hospitality. This was a gilded cage. Wine, women, comfort. Keep me soft. Keep me here. Slowly absorb me into his organization. The old me might have fallen for it. The current me? If you want to play, beautiful trap, I'll play along. Then rob you blind and disappear. Sure. Since you're being so generous. I flopped onto the couch, casually wrapped an arm around one of the girl's waists, and grinned ear to ear. I'd be rude to refuse. Stay the night? Absolutely. But the second it gets dark enough, I'm finding that crankshaft myself, stuffing it in my ring, and ghosting this entire building. Let's see who's conning who. Outside, in the rain and darkness, a yellow inflatable raft was struggling through the waves. Hang on, Xin. We're almost there. Chunzhe's eyes lit up at the sight of the glowing song entertainment building ahead. Oh, wonderful. The ex-girlfriend and her psycho boyfriend were coming to the same building I was in. What delightful timing. Chunzhe and Chu Xian paddled their sad yellow raft through the rain and barely made it into the song building before the storm hit. They dragged themselves up to the 40th floor where guards searched them, confirmed they were just two pathetic refugees, and let them in. The second they walked through the door, their jaws hit the floor. Warm fires. People sitting around chatting. Someone was grilling meat. Actual, sizzling, fragrant meat. A friendly survivor walked by and handed them 2 skewers of roasted octopus. Lucky timing, newbies. You showed up right when we're celebrating. Our building's big hero brought back the catch today. Eat up while it's hot. They inhaled those skewers like vacuum cleaners. Chu Xian was literally crying into her octopus. So good. Sob. Thank you so much. Chunzhe, mouth full, asked. This hero you mentioned, where is he? We'd love to thank him personally. Oh, you can't just go see him. The guy pointed upward, grinning with envy. He's young Master Song's VIP guest right now, living it up on the top floors. His name's Lu Fan, I think. Chunzhe's face froze. Chu Xian stopped chewing. Mid-bite. Full statue mode. Who? Lu Fan. Why? You know him. The guy looked at their ragged, starving appearances and laughed. Nah, no way. If you knew somebody like that, you wouldn't look like this. He walked away shaking his head. They stood there, shell-shocked. The octopus they'd been eating, my octopus, from MY Fake Monster Hunt, suddenly tasted very different. Chunzhe's eyes filled with rage. That dead idiot, Lu Fan wasn't dead at all. He was upstairs being treated like royalty while they'd been eating dog meat in a ruin. And where was I during this heartwarming reunion? 48th floor. Luxury suite. Wearing a fluffy bathrobe. Lying on a king-sized bed. Sipping hot milk. For beautiful massage therapists working on every muscle in my body with expert hands. This is the life, honestly. If I didn't have the fishing rod and my own ship to worry about, staying here as a pampered guest wouldn't be the worst retirement plan. Knock, knock, knock. Come in. The door opened, and a wave of expensive perfume hit me before I even saw who it was. The massage girls took one look at the visitor, packed up their stuff, and evacuated with professional speed. Shen Qingwei, standing in the doorway, ultra-short purple dress, sheer black stockings, red-soled designer heels, full glamour makeup hiding whatever exhaustion she was feeling. Those big flirty eyes working overtime. Mr. Lu certainly knows how to relax. She closed the door, swayed over to the bed on those heels, and sat right next to me. Without asking. Then she put her red-nailed fingers on my chest and started drawing little circles. I was so rude earlier. Please forgive my ignorance, Mr. Lu. I looked down at the wandering fingers. What's this? Miss Shun in heat. Need me to help you? Unclog the pipes. Her finger froze. Inside her head, I'm sure she was cursing my entire family tree back 18 generations. But she swallowed it. Switched to baby voice mode. Maximum sweetness. Oh, Mr. Lu, you're so funny. I'll just be direct. Song Han and I have a deal. He promised to take me to West Huan Mountain, and I'd use my celebrity connections to help him network with the elite there. But he keeps stalling. First, the rescue boat broke down. Then the shark octopus was blocking the route. A man as capable as you must be heading to West Huan Mountain too, right? She looked up at me with those starlit eyes. If I get you the alloy crankshaft tonight, will you take me with you? I looked at that gorgeous face inches from mine and smiled. One engine part in exchange for a passenger seat? Seems like I'm getting the raw deal here. Her heart skipped. She understood exactly what I was implying. Every fiber of her celebrity pride was screaming. She was a top-tier actress, a national goddess. Being asked to sweeten the deal like this was humiliating beyond words. But drowning in a collapsing building was worse than humiliation. Then, she gritted her teeth, made some internal peace with her dignity, and slowly lowered her head toward my lap. Lips parted, warm breath on my skin. Consider this. A deposit. Her face was centimeters away from the danger zone when whoosh. I teleported off the bed. She face planted into the empty sheets. arms splayed out, completely bewildered. Before she could even process what happened, I was already dressed in my windbreaker, looking at her with an expression of pure disgust. You want to do that without even bringing me the goods first? That's a little too cheap, don't you think? You. Shen Qingwen nearly had an aneurysm. Humiliation. Pure, weapons-grade humiliation. She had abandoned every shred of her dignity, and I rejected her because she was trying to get a freebie? Was I even a functioning male human being? I didn't care about her murderous glare. I had important business tonight, and mere women could only slow down my crankshaft-stealing speed. I grabbed her arm and pulled her off the bed. Stop wasting time. Answer 2 questions correctly, and I'll consider taking you along. Shen Qingwei rubbed her sore wrist and nodded through gritted teeth. Question 1. Where's the generator room? 49th floor, east side. But it's guarded. Normal people can't get in. Can you get in? I'm a famous actress. I can shoo away a couple of guards. Perfect. Question 2. That big Song family ship. Where exactly did it sink? How big is it? She thought for a second. About 150 kilometers northwest of West Huan Mountain, some suburban area. Medium-sized passenger ship called the Far Voyage. But Song Han said the area is super weird. Constant thick fog. All electronics fail. Rescue teams were too scared to enter. They abandoned the ship and everyone on it. A medium passenger ship, sitting abandoned, full of steel, circuit boards, maybe even backup engines. For my little survival boat, that was a gold mine. If I could strip that thing down, I could upgrade from floating shoebox to ocean fortress. Plus, having a secret advantage before heading into the political snake pit of West Huan Mountain. Yes, please. Let's go. Generator room. Now, 49th floor. 2 guards with knives leaning against the wall, smoking. Shen Qingwei switched on her celebrity charm like flipping a light switch. Hip sway activated. Flirty smile deployed. Hey boys, working so hard. Song asked you to go check the wiring downstairs. He's worried about the breakers tripping. The guards saw the Shen Qingwei smiling at them, and their brains melted into puddles. Yes, ma'am. Right away, Miss Shun. They practically sprinted downstairs. Easiest infiltration ever. I slipped inside. The generator room was deafening. Several diesel generators roaring at full power. In the corner, under a dust cover, sat a big industrial diesel engine. I pulled off the cover. Every single bolt was untouched. Not a scratch. 0 signs of disassembly. That Fox Song Han hadn't even started extracting the crankshaft. The whole, we need more time, thing was pure stalling. He never planned to give it to me. He was going to string me along forever. Good thing I came shopping myself. Crowbar out. Jammed into the engine cover gap. Muscles flexed. Screech, bang. Heavy metal cover ripped open. I wedged the crowbar into the crankshaft mounting. Applied maximum leverage. Crack. Connecting rod snapped. One beautiful, heavy alloy crankshaft came free in my hands. Successfully obtained. Fine-grade alloy crankshaft ×1. Got it. Stuffed the crankshaft in my pocket. Then grabbed some high-voltage coils and metal bearings that looked useful, because hey, I'm already here. Might as well do a full grocery run. Covered everything back up. Crime scene. Clean. Snuck back to my room with Shen Qingwei. Packed up the case of water and canned meat Song Han gave me as payment, plus all the stolen parts. 40+ pounds of loot crammed into one backpack. I picked it up and threw it at Shen Qingwei. She staggered and nearly collapsed. This weighs a ton. I have to carry this. What? You want a free ride and no labor? You think boat tickets grow on trees? She wanted to murder me. But she looked at my face and realized arguing was pointless.